Okay, it appears that we are ready to start. So we will start with our work session. Councilmember Troy McDougall will not be here for the entire evening. He's asked to be excused. And I believe Councilmember Haymond is on his way. So we will start with a presentation that I'm really looking forward to from Wing and Walmart Drone Delivery. Kendall?
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you so much for having us today. I'm not sure if Lisa Nelson from Walmart's dialed in, but I'm representing Wing. I'm Kendall Prosak. I lead our local policy and community affairs team, and Lisa is with Walmart on the government affairs team. And is there a clicker? Do I just say next slide? Okay, next slide. So with our presentation, we're going to just be talking a little bit about the Wing and Walmart partnership. Next slide, please. And basically, Wing and Walmart started working together about 3.5 years ago, and we really focused on the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex as one of our first areas of opportunity back in 2023. And now we've grown with Walmart to Metro Atlanta, Greater Houston, Charlotte, North Carolina, and coming online throughout several different communities across the United States this year, focusing particularly here in Riverton and in Utah. And a lot of the reason we started to partner with Walmart, or rather why Walmart started to partner with us, is they saw during COVID a huge shift in their shoppers and really needing things at speed, reliability, and for sustainable opportunity. And with that, you can see, I think in the next slide, please, one more. We're going to go over a video in 1 second, but it shows how we're able to deliver at speed with about 30 minutes or less from when the customer puts delivery through the app. So just a little bit of background on Wing really first is we are a Google Alphabet company. We're the leader in global residential drone delivery to date. And you can see a few of our accolades on the side here. Things that I like to point out is we average over thousands of deliveries a day in the DFW market alone. And we're continuing to be that preferred mode of delivery for millions of small packages throughout the world at this point. Next slide, please. And then this was that YouTube video. So this video will showcase what our system looks like, not only in the Walmart parking lot, but also the end-to-end customer experience. So this is our Nest. This is what's set up outside at the Walmart. Think of it as a little mini airport. And you can see that there are several different pad groupings. And right now, one of the Walmart associates is actually walking out with a customer delivery, hooking that box up onto the drone, and from there the drone will snap into the underbelly of the drone. And once it snaps into place securely, the drone will climb up to altitude at about 150 feet. We're cleared with the FAA up to 400 feet. And then the drone flies as the crow flies to the customer's destination at about 60 miles an hour. Once it reaches the customer's destination, the drone will hover down at about 20 feet and slowly release the tether with the package on it. And once the package touches the ground, its gravity, it unhooks itself. You get to keep the box. The drone will come back to us and charge up all over again for the next order to come through to the Walmart store. Next slide when we get there. Thank you. So I'm sure you're asking yourself, drone delivery, this is crazy. Why do communities need this? So here are a few of the highlights that we hear from the communities and from our customers where we operate today. The big one that we highlight is reducing traffic congestion. It's a lot smarter, of course, to swap a 2-ton vehicle for a lightweight aircraft. Our aircraft is about 12 to 20 pounds. So being able to deliver 1 or 2 items that are under 5 pounds of payload that way versus a 2-ton vehicle makes a lot more sense, and we're not clogging up the arteries again for other people to utilize those ways. And then also increasing to access, and then of course the efficiency for transporting goods. Next slide, please. These are 2 aircrafts that are approved with the FAA right now. You see 2 on the screen. The one on the left-hand side of the screen is the aircraft model that we fly the most right now. It carries just under 2.5 pounds of payload. So think of a rotisserie chicken. I'm sure you've all picked one up that fits perfectly in the box. That's also about the payload. The aircraft itself weighs just under 12 pounds, and this one cruises at 55 miles an hour. And then the aircraft on the right-hand side of the screen carries double payload, so about 5 pounds. It weighs just under 20 pounds, and then it cruises at about 60 miles an hour. Both aircrafts have a two-way range of 6 miles, and then you can see that there are a ton of redundancies built into both of these vehicles. So a lot of propellers, meaning if one goes out in one quadrant, we're still going to be flying. We have 2 backup batteries, or we have 2 batteries, one for backup in each aircraft. And then you can also maybe tell from here or from the video, they're designed to be incredibly lightweight and fast. So they're designed with carbon fiber and foam. Think of a bicycle helmet material, very similar foam to that. So designed to be frangible in the event that it does come in contact with something, the aircraft's going to fall apart into a lot of little pieces, and the other thing's not going to be harmed. Next slide. Thank you. Privacy, this is probably one of the biggest questions we get asked, so we like to be really upfront about this. Our aircraft is highly automated, meaning our pilots are not sitting behind with a joystick flying the aircraft itself, but rather the system is taking over and looking at a ton of different things that are going on in airspace. So it's looking at weather, airspace, temporary flight restrictions, all of these different parameters to then say, to get to the customer's house, I'm going to fly this route today based on all of this information. They could order again at 4:13 the next day, and it might take a completely different route. So back to the cameras, we don't have a live feed. It's not going back to one of those pilots. What you do see on the screen here is our navigation lens. And what's happening is the aircraft is really, as it's flying, identifying difference in elevation. So if the aircraft loses signal with us, or if there's a temporary flight restriction put up through the police department to identify missing persons with their drones, we will defer the airspace to you all, and our aircraft can either identify a safe way to come back to the nest or the customer's house, or it can say, I can't make it safely back to either of those locations. I'm actually going to go land in a tree and come find me later when the coast is clear. So we pick a tree or a bush, something like that, so it's not landing in a public right-of-way like the sidewalk or the street. Next slide, please. A lot's going on in this slide, so bear with me. But sound is probably the biggest question we get asked the most about. So what you see in the middle column here, 43 decibels on average, this is when our drone is cruising at about 150 feet to go to the customer's destination or to come back to the nest. At 43 decibels on average, you can see on the chart on the side, we're well under the ambient suburban noise, which is generally clocked at about 50 decibels on average. On the right-hand side of the screen, you see 62.6 decibels on average. This is when the drone's in package delivery mode, when it's hovering about that 20 feet, and that takes place no longer than 60 seconds. So 62.6 decibels, right in line with a delivery truck coming through your neighborhood street or a car passing at about 30 miles an hour as well. Next slide, please. And then, I promise I'm almost done, 2 slides left. Community engagement. This is a huge pillar for Wing as well as Walmart. We really want to be active in the community, not just show up with our technology and leave the community, but really work in tandem with you all here with the Riverton City, do coffees with the mayor, coffee with council member. If there are upcoming events, like we just did something for Easter in one of our other operating cities, we want to be able to meet the residents where they're already going and attending events that already exist, rather than creating a new event where we might not get that many people because they just don't know what drone delivery is at that point. So we have, from our launch date, we really like to work back about 4 to 6 weeks to be able to start to put together these programs. And we'll also table inside of the Walmart to just bring our drone with us so people can start to pick it up, touch it, feel it, ask questions, and really start to demystify what people think of drones, because oftentimes it is drones of police department or your realtor or neighbor's DJI drone, and we are neither of those things. So very different capabilities that our drone has. We were purpose-built for package delivery, so there's a lot of misinformation about what our drone can or can't do. So that's why we really emphasize our community engagement. And then one more, please. And then just back to the nest. This is a picture from that video that we saw, again, going back to the Walmart parking lot. What we're looking at is anywhere from 12 to 18 pads or 12 to 18 drones to come service this Walmart here in Riverton. And what you see here is we have about a 6-foot fence around our active flight line. And then what's not in the image, which would be on my side, is a Connex container, which is really used as like a garage for the drones to sleep in at night. And then there's a battery-operated generator on site as well, just so we can power the site. And typically, we only use the generator just so we can start and move a little bit faster in the process. Then we'll come back to you all and request another permit to do the shore power to tap into actual ground and remove the generator eventually. So I think I got everything, but I would love to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you. Extremely fascinating. Council, do we have questions?
I think that is absolutely fascinating, and I'm excited for it. I'd love to find out how quick can we get it here and operating.
Great question. I think that's really up to you all, really just next steps in understanding what we would need for site approvals. So what we saw on that last slide is really it. Every city we've talked to does it very differently based on land use and zoning. Some cities have said you just need a fence permit. Other cities want us to do an amended site plan from the Walmart, and then we're accessory use. So we're happy to connect you with other cities we've worked with just to like have that conversation. But I do know right now Lisa and her team at Walmart is working through a site plan, so we can also present that to you as a next step and really start to have that conversation going for what those next steps would be.
Okay. Is there another cost for the drone delivery?
So when we launch, we typically launch on Wing's app, and then it will be free to the customer. When we transfer to the Walmart app, I believe their Walmart Plus members is free, and then we're still working out what the delivery fee for people who are not on Walmart Plus will be.
Okay.
That's a change from where it was before, like in a positive direction, because Walmart used to have a partnership with Drone Up, and there was I don't know if you guys on the council know, Council District 1 in Riverton was the first one to have a drone delivery in all of Salt Lake County and possibly in the state from that partnership with Walmart. It was at the Harriman neighborhood Walmart, but they actually delivered to a Riverton resident back in like 2023. So I'm excited to see this. What's the range?
6 miles two-way, so 12 miles round trip. And when we launch, we typically make it a lot smaller, just so, again, we're like making sure the community's comfortable with it. So we'll typically start at about a 2 or 3 mile range and then grow from there.
And do you have, what's your plans as far as being deployed with Walmart? Do you have like, how many stores are you looking at doing? Is it going to be both like the large super Walmarts and neighborhood Walmarts, or?
Right now, I don't know if Lisa's dialed in, but if she is, I'll defer to her. If not,
I saw her.
I am in, Kendall.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Okay, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, so this next year we're looking at 150 sites, and kind of like Drone Up. I mean, Drone Up was a pilot project, a very successful one that gave the opportunity for the last mile delivery team to be looking at how to do this at scale, and Wing is really the result of those conversations. So this year it'll be 150 more sites, and then take it from there and see kind of what the challenges and what the barriers might be in other markets. It probably won't be the neighborhood markets. It'll be the super centers. Right now, it's only super centers that are on that calendar.
So, Helen, you said 150 sites. That's U.S. wide. And Riverton's one of those sites you're looking at doing. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Okay, cool.
Yep, but you are the first. I mean, we are not yet doing this in Utah. Kendall, can you speak to that a little bit? Because we've had a request for a demonstration, and we're not even at that point yet because Wing is not yet operating in Utah.
Yeah, that's right. So this would be a first for Wing and Walmart's partnership and Wing drone delivery in the state of Utah. We do not currently have operations here. So back to your question, Councilmember Haymond, it's really, if you want to be first, there is an opportunity to do that. We're still having a lot of these exploratory conversations with surrounding cities within, we call it the Mode C Vale, so think 30 nautical miles from Salt Lake City Airport. And then you can just draw a ring going around that. So we're in exploratory conversations right now to see, one, if this is even appetizing to y'all and how we can work together on some of those next steps.
Any other questions from council? I have a
No,
few.
I'd love to be that number one spot. And I think it's definitely the future. And we've got vertiports being built in the development down here at the point where they're looking to transport people. So we should at least transport 5 pounds of groceries. If I could have cookie dough flown straight to my house.
Love that.
A couple questions that I have is, number one, will you deliver medications?
Great question. We cannot do prescription deliveries at this point. It's just another layer of approvals with the FAA as well as the Board of Pharmacy in the state. And because we do not have a camera capability, when we actually do a delivery, you'll see an in-app notification that says your delivery has been, dropped off or delivered at that point. And even before that, once you type your address in as the customer, you'll see your delivery zone pop up in the app. So it's all based on your physical land of parcel data and your address. We're looking for about a picnic blanket size space to make that delivery. So you might be really lucky and have one in your front yard and in your backyard, or you might just have one in your driveway. So it really depends. So with that, not prescriptions yet, but we do a lot of over-the-counter like Theraflu, things of that nature. I would say household item goods and over-the-counter are some of our biggest things that we see delivered today.
So does the resident need to be at home?
They do not. We typically find that people are home because it's 30 minutes or less, but they do not need to be home to order or accept the delivery.
And then it sounds like you identify the spot for them to land. The resident doesn't tell you leave it on the porch.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, so now I'm worried about this chicken that's flying through the air.
Tell me more.
And I'm not home and it lands in my driveway and the neighbor's dog decides to break open the box and eat the chicken. How do you prevent that kind of an issue?
I think most people are ordering when they are home just because of the fast quickness of the delivery and how reliable it is. That's just not something we've heard of. I've been at Wing for 5 years, and I would say it's really for those one-off items. You've been to the store 6 times already this week. You have company coming over on Sunday, and you still forgot those last 3 ingredients that you need for your famous Super Bowl dip or whatever it is. The thing that I hear the most right now is it's wacky t-shirt day at school on Monday and my kid didn't tell me and it's Sunday night. So they're like, well, we're not getting in the car and wrangling up the troops, so we're going to order the shirt from drone delivery. So more things like that. In terms of speed, I think the chicken is a great example because we do deliver them, but it's more, am I going to be home, or if not, will somebody at the household be able to go collect the package?
And what cities and states are you currently operating in?
Texas, we operate in the Dallas-Fort Worth region. That's by far our largest area. We have about 30 sites live there. And then Houston, Texas, Metro Atlanta, North Carolina, and then coming online soon in Florida, in Tampa and Orlando soon.
And I have to ask, what made you think of Utah, and specifically Riverton?
Yeah, I think it's part of the welcomingness of the community, already working with Walmart, knowing that they had another drone operator here, with the feedback that they've had already. It was kind of a no-brainer for us to come in to not only the state, but also the community, since you were a little bit primed already for drone delivery. I don't know too much about their operations, but I believe our drone is very different, as well as our capabilities. So I think that's just another layer of advancement when it comes to things of that nature with our technology and partnership.
Well, one of our strategic priorities is innovation.
Yeah.
That certainly fits, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from any other council members?
Yeah, I was curious. I know this whole process with the FAA has evolved. And so at one point there were restrictions over flying over certain sized roads or highways. Do those restrictions exist still? Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, while I'm talking, I'm going to have Josh Gordon, my airspace outreach manager, come up too, so he can answer part of this question. But part of our FAA requirements, we have to go through an environmental assessment. And we are almost done with that process right now. It is a draft nationwide environmental assessment, which will include the state of Utah and this area, which is great. So once we have that, happy to send you those findings. But that's kind of our last check mark and qualifier from the federal regulator to say you're good to go. There's no impact on the environment. And then with that, through all of the waivers, and we have a Part 135 air carrier certificate, through those waivers and certificates, there are a lot of different things where we can and cannot fly. So I will have Josh answer that portion.
Thanks for the question. So areas that we can't fly are typically around and near airports and helipads. So we'll have no-fly zones around those areas. Other areas that we identify low-level historic activity. But as far as like flying over roads, safety-sensitive areas, like we're okay to fly over roads. It's transit. We're not following the roads. It's just going to be going perpendicular to them. We can fly over schools, but we don't regularly plan routes over those. But there's a couple other safety-sensitive areas like power stations, substations, where there's a lot of ground risk what we're flying over. So those are what we would call no-fly zones. And then working with the city, if there's a drone program within the police department or fire department, we'll work with them on that to identify no-fly areas.
Or the hospital, the helicopter?
If there's a helipad there, we wouldn't be flying over that, correct? It's about a 600-meter radius around the helipad.
Any other questions or comments?
Mayor, just one quick comment, and obviously there's some more conversation we'll need to have, but I think as far as working with him, if I understood correctly, there'd be kind of a transition. You mentioned from using a generator to permanent power.
Yes.
We can at least work towards maybe treating it as a temporary use initially, let them get underway while we're working on any more permanent installation as far as power drops and things. So as far as being the first one in the gate, that would probably be the direction I think we'd go, is deal with it administratively, meaning at a staff level, while we're working on the more permanent plan to get in place, which would probably require that conditional use permit. But I think we can get you underway pretty quickly.
Thank you, because I sense from the council that there's support of this project. So thank you.
Question?
Please.
You said something about historic, what did you say, historic property or like Gettysburg? Like, what are we talking about?
Historic flight activity. So
Okay.
every aircraft that's flying within that mode CVAL, depending on the age of the aircraft, they're required to broadcast their position through what's called ADS-B out. So on board our system, aircraft, we have ADS-B in, so we can autonomously detect and avoid other air traffic. But then we'll look at historic flight activity to see what's the low-level activity for areas to avoid. So is there a common route that the medical helicopters are always flying, so we can avoid that area?
So you're looking at what's the history of those common things that are flying, and then you avoid that area?
Exactly.
Got it. Thank you.
And remind me again what you mentioned about 30 miles from the Salt Lake Airport or whatever. What was that comment?
That's called a mode CVAL. So if your aircraft has an engine-driven electrical system, you have to broadcast your position through a transponder, which is ADS-B out, and that's a 30-mile radius around major airports like Salt Lake City.
Oh, okay, I understand. I'm learning more about this. My nephew's becoming a pilot right now, and so I hear a lot of this stuff from him.
No, happy to chat.
All right, thank you very much for the presentation. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to our budget discussion. I have to say, thanks to the entire council. We've been working on this project for many months, and we're nearing the end. And thanks very much to staff for their hard work on the budget, and especially for the presentation, which I think is just laid out in a very easy, readable format. So, Mr. Gear.
Thank you, Mayor. So we sent out the tentative budget. It's posted online. It's part of our agenda. Today we will be approving that. But I wanted to kick us off by talking about sales tax.
Okay.
As we've talked about every month or so when we get our sales tax, we've been bringing you along with our journey of how our sales tax coming in. February came in a little less than last year's. We're still up over last year's number by about 1.5%. If we were to take 1.5%, multiply it by our last year number, we'd finish slightly under our budget by less than $5,000. So you're talking really close to where we wanted to be. And really, we'll kind of provide an update in March once we get it in May. As you know, we're kind of 2 months behind when we get sales tax data. So Mayor and I have more than once conversed on how much we love being that far behind in our revenue sometimes, but that's how it works.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. But I mean, to be where we are right now, we're in a decent spot. To be $5,000 or less right now off of our trend and where we could finish is not a bad spot to be. Obviously, we still have several more months to go. So we'll keep you up to date as we go about with that. Is there any questions on sales tax?
I have a general question, because I know in our family business, there's certain times a year that we don't really make money. You know, November, December, we know we're going to make no money. Is that the same for the city? Is there where you have, like, if we're saying we're behind $5,000, but is that normal for February? What's the, besides December?
Yeah, if you look at the graph there, you can kind of see our past February. February is usually not one of our larger, thank you,
That's
larger months. And that kind of makes sense. I mean, there is a holiday in February where there is usually some spending that goes on. But it's not necessarily, usually November, December, and then June are three of our bigger months. So we're kind of waiting to see how those ones go. So we're, again, a little off, but you can also see every year it's kind of been a little bit different. Some of the trending kind of depends on when people are buying and the patterns that are there. But you are right, there is still some level of seasonality to our sales tax. Yeah.
That's what I was wondering. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Nick, do you mind, I know the answer to this, but I think it's just helpful for all of us to hear it. What's historically been our increase in sales tax look like, and how does that compare to now?
Well, I mean, if you go back 10 years, our sales tax numbers have been historically way larger than this, okay? I'd have to pull the numbers off the top of my head. I can grab them here in a little bit. But we've been substantially larger, but that's also because when you added in a big development, for example, such as our big development, Mountain View Village, it's a huge piece. When you add a very large retailer such as we added in that area as well, they add a lot to that sales tax number. So for the last 10 years, we've been growing quite substantially at a pretty good, fast rate.
Sorry,
and
just to clarify, because you said our sales tax numbers were larger, but you meant the increase was larger.
Sorry, not the dollar amount, right? Not the total dollar amount, the increase over the prior year. We were seeing somewhere between 5 and 10% was a very common thing to see. Seemed about right, Kevin?
Yeah, we actually had probably over the past 8 to 10 years, I think most of those years, I dare say, were double-digit year-over-year increases. And then when this is probably the smallest year-over-year increase we have seen probably in the past, I would say, 8 to 10 years. And again, we'd have to go double-check that if you wanted us to, but I dare say that's a very accurate statement. I remember, like, 2020, 2021, 2022, we were 18%, 13%, 16%. I mean, that's the type of year-over-year increases we were seeing in those years. We're now, I don't want, this is not a doom and gloom statement. We're not going into the negative, but we are slowing down the increases. Basically, what that means in my mind is we're seeing a little bit of that downturn, but we're also seeing commercial businesses pick up in other cities that are going to start pulling a little bit from Mountain View Village, which in turn could make so that we're not going to see the double-digit increases like we were seeing.
Weren't we seeing a lot of those increases as well because Mountain View Village and a lot of these things, Costco, it was all coming online at the time. Is that right? That's why the increase was so large, is because of new business?
That and population, obviously, this has been the area of growth. So if you get more people and then you add in businesses, you're able to generate more revenue. So having that proximity, right?
In fact, that's an important thing to understand as well. When we understand the sales tax distribution formula, so as we all know, 1% of the sales tax is what's called the local option, okay? Half of that 1% comes directly to the city. The other half goes into a state population sharing pool and then comes back to the city based on the city's population, proportionate to the statewide population. Our sharing amount is still smaller. Our point of sale that direct portion is still smaller than the statewide sharing pool. So even though it's very important that we get good quality businesses to come to the city, I hate to say it this way, we also want people. We want a population. We want growth.
You mean like quarter and half acre lots?
I'm not going to speak
Half-acre
to the
lots.
density at all. I'll let you interpret that how you want.
Larger families is what he meant.
Larger families.
Did that answer your question, Councilmember?
Yeah, I think it's important context for all of us to recognize that we're probably not going to see the same double-digit growth in our city again. This is probably, I would assume, the new norm.
I would agree.
I agree.
I would agree.
Anything else? Okay. What I want to do really quick is just walk through again just what we're going to be doing today and what's coming up over our next two meetings. Today, you guys will formally adopt the tentative budget. Okay? That doesn't mean that that is the final budget that is approved, right? We'll have a public hearing, our second meeting in May on the budget, and that is allow anyone to come speak to it. You won't be voting on it at that time. We will ask that any changes that happen need to happen by that meeting because we have a turnaround time to have that posted in the tentative budget online prior to your approval of a final budget on June 2nd. So that's the timing there. We have 10 days. It has to be out for 10 days. And then we have the adoption of the final budget on June 2nd, right? So those are kind of the steps of where we're going to be going with these next several meetings. Today, all I really want to do is open the floor to any questions or anything else that may still be outstanding. I know that you just got the book last night. I understand that you still have some reading to do and still looking at it, and there's still plenty of time to have those conversations. But that's really what I have planned today is you guys have heard a lot from me. If you guys want to spend some time talking, that's great. If you're ready to move on to something else and you just want to take it and meet with us, we're happy to do that as well. So.
Okay, council, any questions, comments from anyone? I'll give you a moment to just turn the pages and think about it. And look at the impressive pictures that
Yes, good job.
our graphics department has placed in there. It's very readable. I think if you were a resident, it would be a document that you could pick up and have some understanding of how the city operates on a fiscal level. And I will say we want every year to get a little earlier in the year to get this budget adopted. We just met with several mayors today, and you know, there's several cities that are still much more aggressive as far as getting this out and completed and earlier. So we're doing better. We're a month earlier than last year, and hopefully next year we'll be a month earlier also. Any questions, comments?
No, just thank you
Okay.
for the transparent process.
Yeah.
Super
That's the thing. I think we've done very well walking through this here from the beginning of the year. So I have to say thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's been a
You're welcome.
fantastic process, and to the staff for working with us.
And I will say, in the spirit of transparency, that you will not see that we are going to be members of the National League of Cities and Towns. We did go last year, and if that's important to you, it could certainly be added in, but my personal opinion was it was a great experience. Glad we were able to go while they were here, but I wouldn't be interested in spending money to fly folks and hotels and that sort of thing. So, okay, I think we're on to the next topic, EV stations.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. So council, this is still a little bit of a budget conversation because, as you know, this is the EV stations is an item that's included in the current year's budget. You may recall, it's been a few meetings ago that we were talking a little bit about and brought to you some discussion about where we wanted to go with EV stations. And what we came to realize is, and this is thank you to you all for giving us the feedback, we felt we need to do a little bit better job of educating you on the why behind this grant and this project. So the purpose of tonight is to take you through a little bit of the whys behind it and help you understand exactly what's going on. I think there's a little bit of some misinformation as well as to what is happening and what's going on in regards to the EV stations. So as staff was looking at previous budget, structuring the budget, some of the things, and this is common beyond just the EV stations, some of the things that we do is we look at how can we best fit some of the requests of what the council would like to do into the strategic priorities. And part of that also is we've been given a charge, as we all know, to try to find ways of using external funding to also meet and cater to some of the different strategic priorities that the council has. As you look through our strategic priorities, themes 2, 3, and 4, to be frank, all 3 of those strategic priorities very much fit with, or the EV stations very much fit into each of those categories and each of those focuses. So we did some additional digging to find out what cities actually have public charging stations. Now I want to be clear, this is public charging stations, meaning they are owned by the actual municipality that you see there, excluding Harriman and Midvale. The county owns those. Some of those cities charge, most do not. That's a separate conversation that would be for another time, but just to be clear, these are all of the cities. We have reached out and confirmed with all of them. One of the things that we found as we started diving even deeper is there's a little bit of a black hole. So if you take all of these public charging stations and you put them on a map, something interesting you'll see there is there's a little bit of a black hole right over Riverton City, where Riverton City just doesn't have any. And you can see all of those green dots of all of the different public charging stations throughout the valley, and not really anything in Riverton City. So that was something that kind of guided us through this process. This is actually something Wasatch Front Regional Council, which is who we worked with in getting this grant, they're big proponents of us getting this because, again, I think we all know from interactions we've had with Wasatch Front, they're big on trying to plan for the future and plan for these, the next things. We've gone through the Transit Fresh Look. Some of us that went down to the League of Cities and Towns last week, whenever it was, we met with Ted, and we talked a little bit about some of the next plans for the phasing for the Red Line. And so we know that that's one of the big focuses with Wasatch Front, is their goal to always try to keep us forward thinking. That was the focus as we were diving into these grants. As we submitted for the grant, specifically this is a CMAQ grant. These are federal funds that we are receiving. And I wanted to show you there were 8 different projects that were submitted for this grant. Our project, you can see there, is number 3. Those are rankings based on the importance of those projects to Wasatch Front Regional Council and specifically to the Valley at large based on the different projects and what the needs are. Okay, and so you can see the different categories there. What I think a very interesting thing to note of the requests, it was about $11.2 million in requests. They only had $2.5 million available in the year that this was approved. So our grant is one of only 3 that we received the funding. Got to check my notes on other things there. One of the main reasons why we got that 3rd score was because of the expanded charging network. Going back to this previous slide, again, helping with that black hole. Excuse me. Okay, so specifically this charging station grant that we had submitted, we made the application back in 2023. It's through the Federal Highway Administration. Wasatch Front is who's helping us with it. It's a grant for $385,000. The city match is $40,000. To clarify that a little bit further, the city match is around 8%. So if the cost ends up being a little bit less, the city pays 8% of the cost of the project, whatever that is, okay? I will tell you, as we look at some of the different grants that we have been trying to get throughout the years, some of the skate park grants, some of these others, most matching that we see is a lot higher than 8%. So I think seeing that 8%, that made us feel pretty good. Yeah, we've seen some In fact, Councilmember Heyman, I'll give you props for a moment. Councilmember Heyman had recommended that he had some contacts with somebody helping with a skate park design grant. And we found, and we've reached out to that person, the person's gonna help us. That's one that doesn't have a matching requirement. And so hopefully we'll be able to get a little bit more funding even than what we currently have for the skate park design. So thank you, Councilmember, for that. So when we put together the estimates for this grant, we did estimate high on purpose so that you can make sure that we can cover our costs. When you dive into what it actually might cost, if we were to do 2 stations, you're looking at probably around $130,000. And so to think through that, what would the portion that would be the 7%, 7 or 8% share for the city? As you can see there, that would be probably in the $10,000-ish range is what the city would pay for that, which again is currently in the budget. We have been reaching out to a lot of different cities. Going back to that list, I can't really think of any negative feedback. Well, I can think of a couple of negative feedbacks that I've received, mostly stemming from the cities that do have some stations that they charge. There's been some pain points when people complain that maybe the system wasn't working the right way and they had some issues with having to deal with helping the customer, making them whole, that sort of thing. Beyond that, I personally, I know Jason had some of his staff, Jason did as well. Mayor, I know, reached out a little bit, so I'll pause for a moment if either one of you guys want to share some of the feedback that you guys got from the people that you talked to. Anything you want to share?
I'll just echo what Kevin said. Even in those situations that they talked about, that transition or moving to a pay model, the feedback was overwhelmingly positive, both from officials and staff and the public.
And I will add to that comment, the mayors that I have reached out to have all stated that their residents are overwhelmingly positive regarding the EV stations in their cities.
So one of the other things that the city that staff is looking at is longer term planning. Should we be considering getting some EVs for our fleet? Looking at saving some costs, especially as we see fuel prices skyrocketing right now. Is that a smart move? Should we be looking at that? Having some EV stations here at City Hall would be obviously very helpful in that regard as well, as we start diving into, is that a focus that we're going to do? Obviously, that's not, again, part of this conversation. That would be a separate strategic planning meeting conversation, but something to consider as well. The next steps. So as we know, the project is already included in the current year's budget. As we had mentioned previously, we were not going to proceed any further until after we had a chance to come back and share all of this information with you. There is no need for additional council action. In the event that the council is fine with us proceeding, we are planning on moving forward and proceeding. Wasatch Front Regional Council is who we are going to be working directly with to finalize the rest of the process in terms of the number of stations, working within the approved budget, as well as the specific locations. As you know, and as we've talked a little bit and shared with each of you, the costs do depend a lot on where the stations get put, because a lot of the cost is not just buying a $5,000 station and plugging it in. It's all of the other costs and then repair work to put the parking lot or whatever back to where it was afterwards. So that was the extent of my presentation. I just wanted to open it if you did have any questions or concerns.
Thank you, Kevin, very much. So council, the request from you is that there was some interest in perhaps not pursuing this grant, not putting in those EV stations. I need to hear from you whether that's still your decision or whether you're okay with continuing forward with the budget that's already been approved from last year.
So my question on a lot of this stuff, because it always looks great, and we could throw in lots of other things out there that would be nice, but where's the proper role of government is what I look at. And all this money, even asking commercial contractors to bid on government, I tell them this is for government, so make sure you apply it by that factor of 10, multiply. And that just seems how government goes. Everything's many times more expensive. putting in, I couldn't get any of them anywhere near that money, but again, not just the money amount, but really, how many cities have put in a fuel station? How many cities have put in a hydrogen station, a natural gas station? Like, there's all these different concepts out there for travel and for fuel and whatnot. And why is it government's responsibility to do that? We're not trying to attract customers. If I was a business down the street, if I was Vasa, it might be worthwhile to look at putting these in to attract people to come work out, plug your car in, that's my donation, that's my offer to, that's advertising to the customers. But from a city standpoint, and using our taxpayer dollars, I know there's a huge grant, but again, that's still taxpayer money coming through larger pools. I just don't see it as government's responsibility to do any of this. And if we want to do it, again, do we need to be fair? Do we need to put a tank in out there and offer everybody a gallon or two of gas when you swing past City Hall?
I guess my only pushback to that comment would be, you make a good point. It probably isn't our responsibility to provide this for the public, but if we're looking at our future as a city, is it something we want to install because perhaps we'll have EV vehicles in the future and that we want to take advantage of this?
Yeah, we could. And that, what I'd like to see is actual bids come in. So here's this is a real cost to install these things, rather than, here's a grant and we've got to use, aren't there restrictions on who we have to use to install these things? Or is it just open to the public?
They just have to be qualified to do it and install it. And then beyond that, because it's federal funds, they have to certify that they can follow all of the requirements of the federal grant. So pay Davis-Bacon wages, buy America, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So is clear, would we put it out to bid?
Absolutely. What we actually are not managing the project, though. The project is actually being managed through UDOT. So this is something where we literally will work directly with UDOT. UDOT will do the procurement and manage the project. We write a check to UDOT.
So the process is not any more different than any other project that we pursue?
Yeah, and in fact, from a staff standpoint, it's a little bit less in the sense that it's not Craig Calvert getting involved in having to do all of his procurement because it's all through UDOT.
Right. So I guess for me, just another point in its favor is, we put in a tank up at the Public Works because we need to be able to provide gas for our vehicles. You could look at it similar to that, and if that was the wish of the council to ensure that it was up there where it would be used by city employees, that could certainly be accomplished also, I think.
Yeah, and we currently have 2 gas tanks that are available for anybody in the fleet network. So actually, all of our city vehicles, we fill them up. UFA uses them quite a bit. Pretty much any city, any municipality or entity that operates on the fleet network that we do, they can use our tanks.
But these are supposed to be public-facing, these chargers, aren't they? Like, for the public?
Yes, these will be public-facing.
And those tanks are not public-facing?
Correct.
I'm guessing you'd get a line if they were public-facing?
I don't think we would ever want to do that, but yeah.
So I guess, I'm on the fence here, but one thing I think that's important to consider too is we're pretty far down the line on this, and that's not meaning we can't unwind it, but there could be a potential impact to some of these relationships that we depend on for other things. That's just something to consider. That being said, I agree with you, Councilmember Heyman, it's not government's job to provide charging stations, and the market is doing it more and more these days. In fact, us doing this could limit the market's interest in engaging here because there's competition with the public sector. Yeah, that's just a couple thoughts.
A couple points I would like to make. When I reached out to this assistant city manager for Draper, their charging stations cost $69,000. So I'm not sure, ours looks like we would be $120-something thousand. So we have this grant for $350,000. that's where I'm not sure where all that money's coming from. So that's my one point. My other point is I do see where Mayor Broker's coming from, that I can see the logic to have charging stations for you know, our fleets and things like that. That makes sense to me. I can see that point. But when we talk about the black hole is just the black hole of public charging stations, right? Because we have them at Mountain View Village. We have charging stations at Mountain View Village. So there's not, when we talk about that black hole, it's the black hole is public charging stations. It's not, we have charging stations there. And like Councilmember Heyman saying, I would like to see, I want the free market to survive. So I'd rather probably see a charging station across the street than in front of City Hall.
I would submit that our EV stations are only going to cost $40,000 versus Draper 69, because I suspect that they probably receive grants also.
Right. And
Well,
so,
and just to clarify, I mean, the big question is when he told you they cost 69 or 68, whatever he said, was that per station or was that what they paid? If it was per station, that actually fits with exactly what we're saying, because our estimates were 130 for 2 stations. So that's right in line with what we're talking about here.
email, because I just asked Kelly to give me the
Yeah.
information that they had.
I think,
This is months ago. Go ahead.
sorry, those 2 stations have 2 pigtails on them, is that the idea? For a total of 4,
I believe so.
something like that?
So she said, here are my notes from install 2020. We had 4 level 2 charging, 4 level 2 stations installed for a total of 8 chargers in 2 locations. 69.
Okay, so 69 would have been for 4, and that would have been 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So, and again, like we mentioned, the estimate of the 400 and whatever that was acknowledged a high estimate to make sure we had enough received in the grant.
The $38,500, is that where the estimate, is that what you're talking about?
Mhm.
Uh-huh. So if we're getting that money, then what, and it only costs us $65,000 or $100,000, what do we do? I'm not sure what happens to the rest of that money. We just get to keep it?
The money, so the grant is for the EV stations. We don't put in EV stations. And we choose to not spend our money. We don't spend our money. Our money we keep, and it just goes back into the fund balance, and then from there, the council decides what we want to do. The 385, Wasatch Front will take it and redistribute it to somebody else. That money will go to, if you go back to this screen, it potentially could go to, let's see, like Salt Lake City at
4?
Sunnyside and Crestview intersection. So maybe it will help cover their intersection that they're trying to do at Sunnyside and Crestview. Or maybe it will help with bicycle lanes in Salt Lake City. That would not be our call. That's a call of Wasatch Front. I think there is value, for what it's worth, a little bit of feedback. I think there is value to what Councilmember Perucci said in regard to relationships. And I don't want to say that Wasatch Front will stop wanting to work with us. In fact, they're still going to continue working with us. I'm not going to say that, but I do think there is some value in, I mean, the people that worked on this grant submitted the grant, got everything done. That was 3 years ago. And so I think there's value to say, look, we're at the tail end of something that had been pushed for
So if we got
some time.
$385,000 and we didn't use all that money, we give it back and it goes down to number 4 and number 5? Is that
Well, it just goes back to them, and then Wasatch
they
Front
distribute it.
redistributes however it might go back into their next year's allocation.
Yeah.
As you can see here, they had 2.5 that was available. They awarded 2.485. And so
That was my initial question, because I was like, the EV charging stations were $69,000 in Draper. Why are we getting a bucket of money when they don't charge that much? Is somebody pocketing that money was what I was trying to figure out where it was going.
No,
It just gets redistributed.
yeah.
And the unknowns or the variables, a lot of that, as Kevin indicated, is where they go and what infrastructure, meaning power lines, internet connect, what needs to be run to it to get them done. That's where we wanted to make sure there was a cushion so that the best location could be chosen and we would have that flexibility to cover it.
I think it's also an important note that, I mean, one of the roles of Wasatch Front kind of to help bring together all of the different municipalities to strategically plan for the future, like what we've been seeing in this Transit Fresh Look that we've been doing. We saw so many different individuals, entities participating and looking at the Transit Fresh Look. Where should the red line go? Where should BRT go? Where should all of these things go? And this is just yet another example of their involvement. They're looking at this at a broader picture. That's the point, is you're looking from that black hole, is they're looking at it from a broader picture of the valley as a whole and how they want to plan for the future.
So my thoughts are pretty sporadic here, so I apologize in advance. But I'm in agreement with Councilman Perucci, and I'm on the fence because, one, I know EVs are more expensive cars and it's tailoring to a specific population. I understand that. At the same time, we look at this budget, and thank you, Nick, for everything you've done on it. I'm hesitant to, when we're looking at the projects we're cutting, which I think are necessary, but then we're saying we're going to fund this, and understanding the reasoning behind it, and especially understanding the relation with Wasatch Front Regional Council, knowing they're very proactive transportation as well, where if we're applying for more grants for Welby Jacobs Canal, I know it's finished, but if we have other things like that, I know that relationship's important. And again, it's not like they won't work for us if we don't do this. And another thing that kind of stuck out for me is it's 4 times cheaper than what you first originally shown us, right? Where when we first talked about this, it was 40,000, and now it's down to potentially 8,000, 10,000, right? So that's a bigger point for me, is that the price has, we overbid, and what Riverton City would actually be spending would be less than that overbid. So that's good for me. I also would love to see, and I don't know if this is possible, but if we do go forward with this, is there a way where we can show we're making our money back? By that I mean, okay, if we do this, can we put in our budget we're buying EVs to then have that savings to up to 8,000 to 10,000 worth of fuel? Also, the usage, if we're charging the public to actually use it, will that pay back the funds that we're spending, right? Because again, my thought comes, especially in this budgeting process, if we're spending money, I want it to be effective for the residents of the city. And again, I know this only serves a certain population of the city that has EVs. If we're doing that for a very certain population, I want to make sure we're making that back and then some. And again, I don't know if that's possible with this because it is a public charging. It's not like we're charging $5 compared to a different city. But I am hesitant when it comes to going through these projects, having certain projects cut because we don't have the money for it, but yet we're using money on this. And again, I'm sorry that's very sporadic and that's a lot of different thoughts at once, but.
So in terms of charging the users, the mayor and I were actually talking about that just today. And that's something that we definitely will be looking at and exploring as well. You may recall when we came in and talked to you about that, that was kind of a next step conversation. That would more than likely be just to recover the city's operational costs to pay the power bill. I dare say I don't think we're going to be building much in. I mean, I'm sure there will be some sort of an allowance where we could do some sort of proportionate fee for capital future replacements. But the better thought process and conversation would be that looking at the our fleet itself, right, and having some fuel savings, which again is something we've talked about for a while. We've got an EV. One of our department heads loves his EV, loves driving his Tesla around, and is really wishing that we could push for as many EVs as possible in our fleet, especially his dump trucks. But anyhow, that's something that we'll be looking at and having conversations with you all this coming fall in the strategic planning meeting.
Hey, Kevin, can you remind me what the estimated annual cost in utility is from this?
It was around 3,000 to 3,500. 3,000 to 3,500.
No. Yeah.
I have one comment on the relationship with WFC, whatever the name is, Wasatch Front. I would hope if we returned their money to say, hey, we've decided we don't really need this, that would improve our relationship. If they want to hold it against us, that we didn't spend their money, I want to find out why are they so incentivized to have us spend that money? What's in it for them that they're trying to do, and so forth. I think they would look at it in like, thank you so much. We received the money, but we decided we don't really need it. And so you can, disperse it elsewhere, like to the canal or to any other system we have, but we don't need it for the EV stations.
Well, I'll respond to that one. I think once you've gone through a process and you've made those decisions, which, as we've just described in our budget, they're tough decisions. So they've had a group and a committee that have gotten together. They've received what they felt like was a legitimate, honest request from Riverton. They've spent the time and the energy to make a decision, and they've had to turn other cities down. So that's, I think, where the rub is they've heard us say we would really like this. Now we're saying we don't want it. So they'll just move to the next one, and I don't think they're going to hold it against Riverton. But I also don't know that it would not, I think it might impact my decision-making when the next request came from Riverton. I'd want to make sure that Riverton was truly, sincerely committed to whatever grant we were going to apply for. And I think that's the part that's really important to remember. It's a unique grant for unique kinds of projects. We reached out because we thought we had an opportunity to take advantage of that money, which is what the council has directed the staff to do. So we took advantage of that opportunity and we received a grant. So it may cost us $40,000, it may not, but the money would then just go to the next person down the line. I don't think Wasatch Front gains anything from it except they're the people that funnel the money, right? They're funneling the money through their system.
So there would be 2 charging stations, 4 charging stations, 2 charging stations with 4 ports?
That's right now the planned estimate. The better response would be the city is not going over budget. That's what I'm trying to get through to say, is the city will not go over budget. Right now, we are thinking 2 is the best for the location, because the plan is out here. We still don't know the exact location, but somewhere out here. The plan is 2. That is seeming like that's going to fit better. The current estimates for the 2 is about 130, which 8% of that, if I'm doing the math correctly in my head, about $10,000.
And then, I forgot. It'll come back to me. It will come back to me.
Okay, I think it's been a great discussion. I think we do need some direction. So to be clear, it's already included in the budget
For last year, correct?
for last year,
Yeah, this is not
correct?
this year's
Thank you.
budget.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, the one was approved last year for this fiscal year. Yes.
it's
yes.
approved in the budget for the current fiscal cycle that we are in.
It's not cutting it out of this.
It's not cutting it out of this budget.
Meaning if we get nods of proceed, we do not have to come back to you all to sign contracts or anything because it's already line itemed in the budget.
So because of all of that, what I need to hear is 3 council members state, no, I would prefer not to proceed with this project.
I have one more comment. Is there a way that we could split and have one close to where we can get revenue from it and one that's public, or do they have to be both next to each other? Because I just feel like,
If we're talking about physically separating them,
Yeah.
the costs would increase
Increase.
significantly
That's a good
because
point. Yeah.
the bulk of the cost is the infrastructure.
gotcha,
to
that makes
get you
sense.
there.
Yeah.
But if I misunderstood your question, you're saying could one be,
There,
oh, okay.
Yeah, and
Not
one
one
over here.
charge and one free, no.
yeah.
I
And,
mean, we could, but the constraint, as Kevin said, we can't go over budget here. We're
Right,
constrained by
that makes
So
sense.
if that falls within the budget of the grant, it's possible, but it would just depend on the distance between them and what needed to be run to get them there.
and my understanding is that the level 2 is what generally people do for the charging stations. That's
Yeah, that was kind of that main level. The level 3 was the really fast charge, and the level 1 was the home trickle charge sort of thing.
And if we do end up doing it, I wouldn't give anyone any free electricity unless you guys are going to give me a gallon of gas for free.
So that level 3 would be for those very, very high-end cars. We definitely, Councilmember Johnson, just go with level 1, maybe 1.5. No. That's just an aside.
And the level 3 charging stations are almost exclusively along major highways.
Yeah.
Where timing is critical.
So I'm okay with moving forward with it. I do, well, with the caveat of, one, I don't want it to be free. I want there to be, at the very least, I don't want us to have an annual electricity cost. Two, I really would like staff to look for opportunities for us to take advantage of this and add some electric vehicles to our fleet that we can then realize some cost savings, like Councilmember Johnson said. And then, because then I think we can very easily highlight the cost savings kind of throughout the life of the vehicle and the life of the charging stations. But I actually appreciate what Councilmember Heyman has said.
Agreed.
I'm still a no.
Okay.
I think too, if we get EV vehicles for the city and then have those use them all the time, they're not really public facing anymore. Now we're putting it in for the city. If we're doing that, we might as well put them up at Public Works.
I'm not trying to sway you, but just as a bit of a clarification, if we ever did decide to go as a city and have EV stations, we're going to need more than just 2 at City Hall, and we're going to need some at City Hall and some at Public Works. If you think about our fleet right now, the vehicles that would make the most sense to switch to an EV, a good portion of them are here, not out there. And so we would probably need more stations here anyways, because those are the vehicles that make more sense to have an EV. It doesn't make sense for us to go, and I know I said it kind of tongue-in-cheek, but I don't think we're to the point in the EV world yet, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think we should be going out and buying dump trucks.
No, they can't carry the same load.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So really what we're talking about is like the Traverse or some of those other smaller vehicles that office people use to go to meetings and conferences and that sort of thing, which would mean we would need EV stations here.
What about the party bus? Can we get that in an electric manner?
We'll look at that as well.
Okay, we have 1 no, 1 yes. And we can just leave it at that because it's already in the budget. So you can flip
No
that
vote,
question
yeah.
and, right?
Yeah.
And if there's not, we'll assume it's a yes.
Yeah, to be clear, and I hate to say it this way, but it's already in the budget. Silence in my mind is we're proceeding.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This-
well, I mean,
This is just me kicking the beehive. That's all it is.
I mean, frankly, in order for us to actually pull it, we can't even technically do that in the work session, right? Like, we'd have to pull it in a formal meeting through a budget.
We don't, so you don't have to amend a budget to drop the budget.
Okay, just to.
We can just, as staff, we can just simply say, we've heard from everybody, let's go ahead and not
Oh,
do it.
okay.
And if we chose to not do something, if the mayor even came to us and said, guys, just don't do that, we all know of one other item that's currently in the budget that's not gonna happen, a transfer. And that, it's perfectly fine to do it that way. So if we hear one and there's no other direction, staff is proceeding.
I say proceed. I say proceed.
I would like it, the 2 things that I would like to see the most is it helping our fleet of vehicles, but also not taking from the free market. So I don't know, maybe you can go ahead and proceed, but in my heart, I'm with Councilmember Heyman. I don't want to take from the free market. I'd rather not, like I said, I think we said earlier, we first started talking about it months ago. The comment was, well, a legislator can come charge their station while they come to them. I don't really want to, I'm not as concerned to serve a legislator as I am someone that's going to buy a shirt in Riverton, Utah.
I think what you're also saying is like Councilmember Perucci said, we need to make sure we're charging.
Yeah, 100% charging.
Understood.
I'm not, no free lunch here from me, yep.
And perhaps there could be some consolation in the fact that if they're here at City Hall, we may have residents who come here and charge in their stations and walk across the street and frequent our new shopping plaza over there, which would be great.
Maybe they'll go get a Zeppies while they're waiting for their car.
Don't you think the station across the street, the private company would want to put them in?
Probably not till they fill up over there.
See, I'd be more excited about this if we got more excited about actual power generation and used power as a real product instead of something that we have to use scarcity. When we get pushing nuclear and fission and things like that, like we get serious about that, then the EV situation becomes actually a viable situation. Right now, the EVs are really more of a toy. They're more of a expensive luxury. They're not a viable replacement of anything because we've got to get our power up, and that could start from us. I mean, I know the state's doing some things on it, but we need to push more as a city, as a county, as a state to say we're serious about, we want to generate power like it's going out of style. Then we can go electric.
Okay, let's move on to the agenda review. Oh, please.
I did have a question, sorry, on the budget. I thought about it
Please,
after
go
the
ahead.
fact. So in the past, I know I really love this new display because I think it's easy for people to understand, but I did notice that it lacks the detail of line items. And is that going to be available?
I can happily send that to you, but it's not something that we're posting online simply because we're not required to.
Yeah.
And realistically, what we're trying to do is make the budget book more digestible. But if that's something you want, I can send it to you.
I'd love the line item because I think when the mayor's comment about NLC, it's helpful to be able to understand the line items. And I know we've looked at the line items throughout this budget process, but then to be able to go in and understand what each individual item is helpful. And I know it's not required to post, but I'd love to find a way to make that. I just think in an effort of transparency for our residents to know what we're spending the money on, having the line items available for them to see.
So just to be clear on that, we report every month. We send a dump of all of our transactions to transparent data. And I'm not trying to stop you at all on what you're asking. I just want to be clear, we are being, the state rules and everything that requires for transparency, we are 100% meeting all of those requirements. Every month we upload all of our transactions to the state. Anybody could go out, they could look and see what did Riverton spend on this, that, or that, and they can look anything and everything up. Sorry, quarterly, not monthly.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. I'm saying just historically, our budget has shown every single fund, where every single dollar is going and what we're purchasing, our memberships and supplies, et cetera, how much we're spending on. And I understand that we're trying to transition to this more consumer-friendly version, which I love, and I think it's fantastic. But as a council member, I would love to see that, and I think that, yeah, I don't know. I'm just
Happy to send as long as there's a commitment among the council members that you look through it quickly, you meet with Nick so that we can move forward with our agenda.
I'm not expecting to change it because we've already gone through it, but I'd like
Good.
to just
Yep, that's
trust
great.
but verify.
You bet.
Yeah, and I would second that. I would like to see it because if I'm approving it, we're approving it today and it's going forward, I'd like to know what I actually approved for line item instead of just a general, like, oh, was it just a bunch of pork and I don't know, and I just general fund check. That way I feel like I'm more accountable. And so if someone says, oh, I know I did vote for that because I saw it, I read it. And so it's on me rather than the staff because I approved that, so.
Okay, that will happen. Okay, Kevin.
Jason's going to update one part
That's right.
of the agenda, and then we'll dive into a few other things.
There's just one public hearing on the agenda tonight, and I will apologize ahead of time to the council. I'm not going to be here for the regular session. I've got another commitment. But I did want to make sure it was clear. It sounds like a larger deal than it is. It has to do with our water conservation. There was a study and some standards that were put in place back in August that were done in accordance with some state requirements. Those were adopted by resolution. We also have under the state code a requirement that we have similar things adopted as an element to our general plan. That should have been in the language back in August. I neglected to get that in there correctly. So this is just correcting that previous adoption, taking the water conservation and efficiency standards, the update from 2025, updating that approval to making it an element of our general plan. We're not creating any new standards. We're not amending that previous one. As the council is very aware, conservation and some of the things that are being discussed are certainly a big deal right now. We will be required to update this, and we'll do so as part of our ongoing general plan. The action tonight is just correcting that previous adoption. There was a requirement that that be done by January 1st. I've communicated with the state and let them know it was just a technicality on our part. So for tonight, even though it sounds like we are making this significant addition to our general plan, we are just correcting that previous action from August, updating the general plan. We'll meet that technical requirement of the state. And by meeting the technical requirement, the information in these standards are important. But as we move forward in the future, we'll look at some more substantial updates there. So the motion tonight is simply to update that approval, incorporate that as an element of our general plan, and then that will be part of our annual review and update as we move forward.
And that is item 16A
I'm
on
sorry,
the
yes,
agenda.
16A.
And it does require a public hearing, so there will be a public hearing, and then we'll vote on it based on Jason's explanation.
If there were any questions or concerns, I recognize a couple of you weren't here in August when that was adopted, but it was something that was produced with the help of a consultant. It includes a lot of information, and part of the state requirement was to tie some of that to growth in the city, which it does. Again, we'll be updating that as we move forward.
Okay. We wanted to talk briefly about upcoming agenda items through the month of June, and also to indicate that since we've gone through the budget, I don't feel there's any need to meet at 4, at least through May and June, correct?
The May 19th, we may still
Okay.
need to meet at 4, but then June, we definitely will not need to.
Yeah.
The May 19th, maybe, maybe not. Watch the time on your meeting. I'm going to throw it right back to the 4 of you and 5 with Councilmember McDougall, or 5 or 6, because it depends a lot on you all and the budget. If there is a need for budget conversation on May 19th, we absolutely will need to start at 4. But the May 19th work session still, it's a pretty, I think we'll still be filling it up.
Okay.
We might need to move some things around. So May 19th.
Oh, sorry. We do have the Planning Commission coming
Oh,
on
yes.
May 19th at
That's
5
right. That's
for the
right.
land
Thank
use
you.
discussions.
Thank you. I totally forgot about that, so I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, we have the joint meeting at 5 on May 19th with them, so we definitely will be meeting at 4 for sure. In fact, some of these things we might move because I totally forgot about the Planning Commission meeting. So we have, Salt Lake County has reached out, and representatives from the council want to come present to the city their budget. So they're going to be here on May 19th to just share their budget presentation. We've asked Nate Slack, our PIO, to do a little presentation for you all on our MyCivic. It's the Report a Problem app that we have. We've had some kinks, we've had some problems, and we believe we fixed those problems now. It seems to be working well. And so we wanted to just share with you all a little bit of how it's going, and also a little bit of help you understand how to use it, so you could also help your constituents if they ever have any questions on how to get those in. That honestly is the quickest way to get things and get staff onto different problems, potholes, whatever it may be. Again, not problems that need 911 or non-emergency dispatch, but other types of problems to get us going. We're also planning on having a discussion on park water use and what different service levels will be, because we're in the middle of a drought here now, and so we need to, as a city, start looking at what it might look like depending on which fields. The grass might not be as green as we all are anticipating, and so we're going to have some conversation there, talking a little bit about some park strips that we want to start looking at flipping as well. And then we're planning on having some conversation to start diving into what do we want the front of the main park to look like, specifically the empty dirt pile that's there after the skate park was removed. So we'll have some conversation there on what the vision might be from the council. That right now, in addition to the Planning Commission joint meeting on May 19th, will be a pretty full work session. June 2nd, we're planning on having some conversation about storage containers and the storage container ordinance, and then also educating you guys a little bit on the plans with the Mountain View corridor as it's going to be starting to come in, specifically as it relates to Western Hills Drive. And then June 16th, our plan is to have a pretty good, robust conversation on what we want to do with the skate park. So that'll kind of round out the rest of the rest through June, and then into July and August, we're going to start having some conversations with strategic planning and long-range planning, and quite frankly, getting back into some more financial and budget conversations, but at a different level.
So hopefully July and August will be a little lighter, but then we planned our strategic planning meeting. We came up on a date, did we not? Do you remember what it is?
September
Kevin?
12th, Saturday the
September
12th.
We'll have a meeting, that's a Saturday, from 9 to 2. And then for the rest of the year, we'll be talking about what we've talked about in that Saturday meeting and fleshing out our strategic plan. So that's the expectations for the rest of the year. Questions, comments, feedback? None? Excellent.
Mayor, one
Please.
other thing that if you're okay with it, we could do is Carrie did want to update everybody on specifically paving, when people come in and cut into our road and how the
right.
requirements when they come back in and pave afterwards, how that looks.
Thank you very much. Very important.
So I want you guys to understand that we do set money aside for these types of projects. We have an X amount in our budget, and my staff sits down with me and says, what projects are coming? What do you anticipate we'll need to help that project be successful? When a project comes in, we have a standard which is set across the valley realistically as APWA of how to repair a trench.
For those that don't know, American Public Works Association.
I know, I was getting there. So that they know how to bid the project. What that calls out is their trench width is needing a full excavation, and then when they get down full excavation and backfill, they have to cut 2 feet on each side. We call that a T-patch. That gets the seam from the old dirt to their new dirt all compacted together and everything like that. Once that's paved up to dirt level, we put a layer of asphalt down, and then we mill 4 feet each direction, lay fabric down, and pave the whole thing over that. So if they have a 4-foot trench, they will have to pave a total of a 16-foot pass when done. We work with them a little bit. Sometimes we move it to 3 feet on one side so it's not in a tire path, or we extend it on one side to get all the way to the curb. But if it goes farther than like a foot or so, the contractor starts getting mad, say that's not what they budgeted. But we don't want to leave that sliver, right? We don't want to leave a 1-2 foot pass to leave the curb. So when I've asked lately, part of that is that reasoning, that we want to get outside a wheel pass so the seam's not right where your travel tire is, or we want to get to the next seam or to the curb. On 3200 West, we had that same issue, but where they pushed all of the traffic on one side, it started damaging our existing thing. And we knew in the next couple years we were going to maintain that anyway. We worked out a deal with the contractor to get rid of the T-patch and all the quantities matched up to just redo the whole road, as long as we paid for any soft spot repair that was needed. That is a great value to the city, to get a full new road with all soft spots repaired and have brand new asphalt curb to curb. So my staff does sit down with me every year to kind of say, how much would you like set aside for these types of projects? And then I also work with like Bluffdale, Harriman, and South Jordan on if they're doing anything on like 118 or 134, we don't want to not do whatever they're doing, and vice versa with them, right? As we pave, they don't want to not pave, because then it just looks bad on one city or the other to not. As you guys know, 118 South, Harriman and Riverton got a brand new roadway with the sewer. South Jordan's got a little beat up from all the traffic being pushed over there, and they don't have a new road. They wish they would have done a mill and overlay over the whole thing when all said and done, but it's a little late now. So that's how the standards are made. That's how people know what to bid. That is what is expected out on site. And then we work with them to get the best product when all said and done. Any questions?
Do we have you mentioned they've got a standard, I guess, of how, like, smooth that needs to become at the end, right? Sometimes you go over those patches afterwards and you're wondering, like, if they patched it and patted it down with their lunchbox or what they did, you know, like.
There is a little bit of a standard, but when you're tying into existing, it's hard to meet that standard because it's a length, right? It's that profilograph goes like a 12 or a 20-foot length and does a transition. So if their patch is only that 5-6 feet, you can't really get it because you're talking, could that be part of the existing out or is theirs out, right? Because it does a laser finish on that. So yes, we do a ride smooth test with them. As you know, on 118, we didn't like it. There was some issues. They had to rip it out and replace a quarter mile on their dime after all said and done. So
Okay.
our staff tries to watch for that right off the get-go. Some of that comes from some of our curb is settling and they're trying to match it, and we tell them, don't match it, we'll fix the curb when you're done. We want the road to be nice and smooth. We'll fix if there is a problem on our end, don't try to match that. So we try to have those conversations with the paving company as well as the contractor doing the main project so that we're all on the same page.
Okay, and the ride smooth, I like that. You go along for a ride to see how it works?
Yeah, so it's funny. We did it on 118 and we had the contractor and one of our guys, and obviously the driver didn't close his eyes, but we had those guys close their eyes and say, tell me when you feel you hit this rough spot. And they're like, oh, right there, it was horrible. We're back to existing. I'm like, no, we're still in your spot, right? They couldn't tell, and it's just obvious that after you drive it, they knew that they needed to replace it. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. So.
Okay, good. And if we know of some spots around the city that need a little extra TLC, can we just notify you?
Yeah, we actually, if you looked in the budget, there is a planer option, and that goes on front of the skid steer to try to get some of them down. Some of you aren't here. Nope, none of the council's here that asked for it. So we used to have a bump where the asphalt touched the concrete at Bangor Highway and 134 way back. And as it gets hot and cold, that fluctuates and causes a bump, and sometimes it's really bad. So we go out and just plane it down smooth or mastic it to keep that smooth, knowing that it's still gonna flex for a bit.
I think you did that down here at 118 and Redwood?
Same thing, yep.
Yeah, that used to be a curve. You had to slow down to pull over.
All that stretching from people stopping, it's weird how asphalt works, that when they stop there, it kind of pulls it along and builds up against that concrete because it's not moving. And so when we grind it down, it helps for a while, and then we'll have to do it again.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions?
Okay, very good. Are there any council member that want to report in this meeting? If not, we'll look for a motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you all very much.
amor, cariño y respeto. En nombre de Jesucristo, amén.
Amen. Thank you very much. Okay, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Marshall Watkins. We appreciate it. Okay, we will move to citizen comments. If you would like to make a comment, you are absolutely welcome to do so. I would just ask that you complete a card. They're up here. I have 4 currently, but if there's anybody else that wants to make a comment, other than Mr. Bills, because you're in part of the agenda, then please gather up a card. We will start with Jennifer Priest, please. Oh, Jennifer. Oh, sorry. You're first for your topic. Oh, yeah.
Hey, hello, council members and Mayor Broker. Many of you know me. My name is Jen Priest. I've lived in Riverton on 3200 West between 126th and 134th South for 16 years. I'm here tonight to ask for your help in addressing a serious and ongoing safety concern on 3200 West. I'm speaking on behalf of many neighbors. Raise your hand if you're here for, and many who couldn't be here because of health, family, and work conflicts, but who wanted to come. For years, our street has become effectively a speed corridor. Drivers regularly travel 40 to 50 miles per hour or more on what is clearly marked as a 25-mile-per-hour residential road. Even more concerning, the stop sign near my home is frequently ignored altogether. Last year, we had 2 car crashes within a month of each other. My neighbors and I have sent letters, emails, and talked to city officials. The pattern is this: we make a fuss, the police patrol for a while, and the speeding continues. I have been told multiple times that speed bumps are not an option, and they don't help. I would like to push back on this and find out where this opinion and assessment originated from. Where is the data showing that a speed bump doesn't deter drivers from going 50 miles per hour? I am convinced they do work based on the lack of high-speed driving in every other road in our neighborhood with speed bumps. I have also been told speed bumps are difficult for emergency vehicles and plows. This is not a convincing argument. These vehicles navigate speed bumps on every other street in our neighborhood. 2 more speed bumps will not greatly impact their ability to do their job. And lastly, I've been told that residents complain about speed bumps and dips. The only people who complain, I imagine, are the ones who want to drive faster. Are we really going to accommodate them over the safety of our general public? There are always going to be complaints. But we are more concerned about the safety of our children and neighbors with this dangerous situation. Right now, we have a unique opportunity with the current construction project on 3200 West and the upcoming repaving of 3200 West. This is the ideal time to implement meaningful, built-in traffic calming solutions, design features that naturally slow drivers down and make our street safer. We are hopeful that you will advocate for proactive safety measures that protect families before a serious accident happens, not after. Thank you for your time and your service to our community.
Thank you very much. We'll now hear from Natalie Palmer. Then after Natalie, we'll hear from Amy Nicholson.
Thank you for the opportunity to share my concerns with you this evening. We have lived in Riverton for over 11 years, and we believe it is a great place to raise a family. And it is because of our family, because of my kids, that I am here today. We have become increasingly concerned about the traffic conditions on our street. Vehicles and motorbikes frequently travel well above the neighborhood speed limit, often accelerating aggressively. With only one stop sign along this wide and long stretch of road, this area has effectively become a speedway. 3200 West is a well-used walking and biking route for families. Throughout the week, children and youth also cross the street to attend activities at the local church. Unfortunately, it is becoming more and more difficult and dangerous for pedestrians to safely navigate this area. We understand that law enforcement resources are limited, and while occasional police presence helps temporarily, it doesn't create a lasting change. Once enforcement is gone, the speed quickly returns. We need a lasting solution. I know that there is more that can be done. There have already been accidents, and near misses occur regularly. We have captured instances of unsafe behavior on our security cameras, including vehicles racing side by side, and just recently, during the construction, a driver purposefully speeding and trying to drift lost control in the dirt while my daughter was in the front yard playing. This was a stark reminder of how serious this issue is. We are asking the city to consider all and any physical traffic calming measures, such as traffic circle, speed bumps that are proven to reduce speeds and improve safety for everyone, as we have seen on the streets surrounding us. Some say speed bumps are inconvenient, but I argue my kids' safety is not an inconvenience. It is everything. We are not here to complain. We want to bring awareness and work together on a solution. Let us be proactive and do all that we can and not wait for a tragedy to make a change. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy? And Amy has requested just an additional minute.
My name is Amy Nicholson. I have been a resident of Riverton for 53 years. I had an incident happen on January 19th this year. I had a man enter my yard who was a salesman. He came into my gate and he came to my door and knocked on the door. I have a dog door by my front door, and my dogs came out. They jumped on this man, and he kind of freaked out, and I ended up with all of my children coming out the door. We actually saw him looking in the window and when we were in the kitchen, so when he came to the window. I do have 2 dogs. I have 2 hunting dogs, and I have a completely fenced yard in the front and in the back. I have signs up that the Riverton Police Department asked me about 6 years ago to put up when a UPS man came into my yard and decided to deliver a package through my dog door. He stuck it through there, and she did get bit. So they requested that I asked them what to do. They asked me to put up these signs. This man came into my yard as a salesman. He ignored the signs. He came to my door selling windows. I approached the man asking him to leave. He did not leave my property without being really pushed off of the property. From then, he called the police and went to the Riverton City, hospital. I talked to Riverton City. The animal control came out. My dogs were licensed. He reassured me everything was fine. I had the signs up. There should have been no trespassing on my property. I had done everything that I was supposed to do. He assured me of that. I then called Riverton City Police Department. I talked to them. They pretty much kind of said the same thing, that I had done what I needed to do, and they said that they would look into everything. A few days later, I called and talked to the lawyer here, Ryan Carter. I told him the situation. He agreed to look into the situation. And then a few days later, I got served. Oh, also during this time, I also called here. I met with Angie. I found out this man did not have a license to be going door to door. He was not licensed here. He was not licensed in Draper where the business was. He came to my house without a license. From there, basically what happened is I was sued by Riverton City. I was sued by you guys with a third-degree felon, as a third-degree felon. So lawyers, are about $5,000 to get a retainer fee. Okay, I had not done anything wrong, and I was sued by you guys, by Ryan Carter, which was very upsetting to me, very upsetting that I was sued. I had to get legal for my house, of course. So my insurance is covering that side of it. A few weeks later, my father was charged with a lawsuit against my house to take my house, basically for the amount of money. So my house is now trying to be taken by Siegfried and Jensen. From there, I ended up being dismissed out of the blue from this claim from Riverton City. When I called and talked to Ryan Robinson, I asked him why all of a sudden it was dismissed after we had gone through all this chaos of me being sued and lawyers and all this other stuff. And he said, we looked at all the pictures, we went through all of the pictures, and we felt like that you had the right signage up, and they just dismissed it. Like it was no big deal, which is great that they dismissed it. It's just really frustrating that I was sued in the first place.
So Amy, you have about 30 seconds left.
Okay. They also dismissed, they did put a lawsuit against this gentleman that has said that he's handicapped for the rest of his life. He is not. The dog didn't even bite him. The dog jumped up and bumped him, and it was his iPad that bumped his face. They have dismissed the charges against him because they don't think that they feel like he has suffered enough, is what I was told. He has suffered enough with the incident. I just feel like we really need to protect our citizens. If we're going to have door-to-door salesman licenses, that's what we need to do. If we're going to have that we're protected, if we put signs up that people can't come in our yard, we are protected. I did exactly what I was supposed to do. I contacted the police. I have met with the mayor. I have met with Angie. I have talked to your lawyers, both of them. I have done what I was supposed to do as a Riverton City member of, 53 years of living here, and I still end up with a huge bill. So I would just appreciate it if you would look into this and discuss a better plan, maybe for the next person. And I appreciate your time and your sacrifice for our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dave Hogue?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm glad to be here, but I'm her father, and I just wanted to follow up with a couple things maybe that she wasn't touching on. One, the council is doing a good job, and the mayor's doing a good job of passing regulation and codes within the city of Riverton to protect the citizens of Riverton. By the way, my name is Dave Hogue. I've been here since 1979 in Riverton. Sorry I didn't mention that. The officers that were involved in this, that came out and did the investigation and the interviews, they did a great job. They were there. They did their job. The code officer, George, he got out and did his job. And they interviewed the person that has been accused in this situation. And then they came back and they gave the reports. I've read the reports. They were full and they were detailed. And they indicated what happened. But then they turned it over to the prosecutor, which is, I don't think is Ryan Carter, I think it's Ryan Robinson. We weren't instructed on that, but that's kind of the way it falls down. The city has to contract out probably to another attorney to do the work. But that's where it failed. We called several times to find out what was going on. Never got any calls back from the attorney's office, never. There was a lack of communication there, and because of that, they dismissed the case that they had or the complaint that they had against this man or this person who had admitted that he was a door-to-door salesman, and he was not licensed in the city of Riverton, nor had he passed a background check, nor did he carry a badge on his chest to say he was one. He lied to the police officers. But the whole point here is, I'm not trying to do the case here in front of you, but what the point is there was a breakdown of communication in the law that Riverton has passed, the code that people are protected by. And if it's not going to be used and not enforced to its full force, then something has to happen. There has to be a better communication. And I feel sorry because he filed against me first a Tier 3, which is a $500,000 complaint. And that would have been everything we had. They had, initially, they took a couple of months to find out, oh, well, you're not responsible. And they took me out of the suit. But they did it without prejudice, which means for the next 4 years in the state of Utah, I can look forward to them maybe filing against me sometime, just on a whim if they want to. And that's the same way the city dismissed my daughter, is without prejudice. But that doesn't count. It's got to be with prejudice so they don't do it again against the people that were doing what was right. We did follow the city's instructions, and we followed what was right, and we've always been faithful to Riverton, and we love living here, and we love the city. And we just ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, very much. Next, we will hear from Dustin Palmer, and then we will finish with Summer. Juice? Dustin?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Dustin Palmer. I live in Riverton on 3200 South, 12925 South, just on that corner of this 3200 South. So I get to see a lot of what's going on firsthand. The wide, uninterrupted stretch of road on 3200 West is approximately 0.4 miles long from where it begins on Water Street, which is about 12700 South, before the first stop sign on 13010 South, which stop sign gets ran through frequently. A standard drag racing strip is only a quarter mile long. This neighborhood road is actually longer than a typical drag strip, and unfortunately some drivers are treating it exactly like one. We have reached out requesting police presence and support, and while enforcement helps temporarily, it has not solved the problem. The design of the road itself encourages high speeds. We are asking the city to seriously consider traffic calming measures such as a traffic circle, speed bumps, speed dips, or other roadway designs that physically slow drivers down and make this road safer for the people who actually live here. I think it presents a liability to the city to not do everything in their power to make this street safer and protect the kids and residents in the neighborhood. Please support us in being proactive and doing what it takes to keep all of our kids safe. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Thank you very much. Summer?
Hello, City Council and Mayor Baroker, and thank you again for allowing me the time to speak. My name is Summer, and I've been a resident of your neighboring city, Bluffdale, for 20 years. I've thought a lot about the conversation I've had with you, Mayor, and Police Chief Taylor, and realized, like many others in the state, I was soft-spoken into thinking that Riverton's involvement with ICE isn't all that bad. I don't care if they're not as present or intense in their tactics in Riverton as they are elsewhere. ICE is ICE. ICE does in fact single out non-citizens. It's in their name, and they especially target those who are black and brown. There's years of evidence to prove that. We've even heard of the deportation of some legal citizens. They don't even play by their own rules anymore. I don't care either that they've always been here. Trump is just bringing more attention. While Trump has platformed them more than previous presidents, they've never been the good guys. As a daughter of an immigrant, it's no surprise that I want ICE presence out of Riverton now and forever. Regardless of my heritage, I think advocating for those being targeted for their legal status or the color of their skin is at a very base level of human decency. I don't have to know the individuals or be related to them in order for me to care, and you shouldn't have to either. They matter. I want to bring up the question I asked you last time again. What would your 90-year-old self wish you would have done differently at this moment in your life? I'll also add, what do you think your grandkids would wish their grandparent would have done about ICE presence in a city that they represent? We can't undo the past, but the decision to change your mind about no longer affiliating with ICE will always be the right decision in every single timeline. It's in your hands. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we have one last card. Gavin? I'm sorry, didn't have my glasses on, Kevin. I know who you are.
Sorry, I was late. I was speeding down 3200 West to get here. I live on the corner of 13010, where the fire station is, and 32nd West. I'm the one that yells at all the cars that don't stop at the stop signs. And some people yell back, and my wife thinks I'm going to get in trouble and someone's going to come do something to my house because I'm you know, doing that because my wife had her little brother, watched her little brother get hit and killed. And she was a crossing guard for a long time. And so kids, I don't have little kids, but little kids in the street is a worry to me. And the people riding their e-bikes down the road, I always tell them that they have to stop at the stop signs too because other people don't. So I'm worried that someone's going to get hit. We had 2 accidents within a month last year, I think it was. And I know that they're down at the stop sign that's farther down the street. There's a gutter. So people at least slow down, but they don't even stop. And I'm afraid when it's repaved that there will be an issue. And we called and complained about stop signs, and then they came and painted the stripe. People still say they don't see it, even though they live in the neighborhood, and I know they do. And with the construction, people are still going fast, and they're not paying attention to the four-way stop since it's on one side. If they're heading north, on the right side, it's still a four-way stop, but they have to drive on the left side, so they just go through. And I'm just afraid I'll be pulling out, or someone will be pulling out, and someone will get hit. And it's been an issue for a long time, and I know we've had police presence there, and they've pulled people over, and I appreciate that. But I think there has to be some kind of deterrent, whether it's something in the way that they have to go around. I mean, they have that other calming thing in the neighborhood, which is just a circle, so at least they have to slow down for that. I wouldn't even mind if they put a gutter across the road on one side or the other, just to make it so they don't want to damage their car, but I'm afraid that they don't care anyway because they drive down the dirt road really fast now. So, and I've been concerned for a long time. I've been there 29 years, and it's been an issue. It used to be an issue the other way, and now it's an issue on 32nd West because it goes through. People go to Walmart or whatever, they go out, and it's like straight street, fast street. No lines, no nothing in there. So if there could be something done, I know speed bumps may not be the answer. I know that's a problem with snow plows and different things, but I don't know. And I don't know if you guys have ideas or anything, or anybody else has any ideas, but we really need to slow it down somehow, and they need to stop. They don't stop. I don't know if they say they don't see the stop sign. I don't know if we could put a flashing stop sign in, or if we could put a sign that says the speed on the road, flashes, a smiley face when they're doing good and a sad face when they're doing bad. I mean, I've seen that before, but anyway, that's how I feel.
Thank you very much. Okay, we will move on to mayor, council, staff reports. We will start with Councilmember Haymond and come this direction. Wait 1 second.
Thank you, Mayor. My report is I had the privilege of attending the Utah League of Cities and Towns meetings here this last week, of course, with several of you, and really enjoyed going down there and learning from everybody and gaining additional knowledge of what's going on. Specifically, there was a lot of attention to water, which, of course, is facing us everywhere. So great event down there to learn from. And then I have been working with staff as well, with specifically City Manager Kevin Hicks. He and I have been working with a program to be able to acquire additional grants to assist with the planning and design of the skate park. And the staff has got that underhand and working very well with it. So I'm very grateful for that, for everything they're doing. That is my report.
Thank you very much, and we appreciate you being able to point more money towards Riverton for that grant, so we appreciate it. Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks everyone for being here. It's an honor to serve. Quick updates. I was able to join my mayor and Councilwoman Smith with the South Valley Chamber, who's here today. We celebrated a business here in my district called BNR ChemDry as the Small Business Impact Award of the Year. So it was an honor to see them awarded. They're a great part of our community, and they've been here a really long time, so it was an honor to see them be awarded. So thank you, South Valley Chamber. And then I was able to actually represent the city and speak at our Riverton Youth City Council annual closing event a couple weeks ago. And it was awesome. These kids spend a lot of time volunteering for the city, doing a lot of work that goes unnoticed. And they're so energetic and they're excited to serve. It ranges from middle schoolers to high schoolers that are about to graduate. And these kids are our future. In my comments there, I said we're temporary placeholders in permanent positions. And I truly believe that, and it's awesome to see the youth step up because they're going to be serving us in the future too. So I'm so excited we have a program like that, and if you have any children or grandchildren that are interested in doing that, please let me know. It's an amazing program. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll briefly report also on the Utah League of Cities and Towns, which I attended, and I'm always very passionate about water and the precious resource that it is here for us. And so it was very interesting to listen to one of the gentlemen that's responsible for water in the Colorado River and releasing it for the dams so that we can ensure that there's energy. And it was very interesting and sobering to listen to his report about how low we are in water this year. And our city is definitely going to be impacted, perhaps with restrictions we'll see as the season goes on, but there certainly is not enough water in the mountains. We figure we've already hit the peak, so the amount of water we have right now is all the water we can expect. I also think it's very timely, and I did not know who was going to come and speak tonight in public comments, but I was sharing this with my council members earlier tonight in our work meeting. It's called the Traffic Team Meeting, which happens here at Riverton City, and all the engineers, the police department, et cetera, get together and review the issues and concerns that residents have. We do have some ideas really based from our attendance at the Utah League, how we can even make that process better. So we will certainly be discussing the issues that were presented tonight. And lastly, I'd just like to report that the budget has been presented to the council members, and if there's anyone here in the audience that would like a copy of the budget, I'm really pleased and proud of it. Just please ask, and we'd be happy to provide you one. Councilmember Perucci.
Awesome. Well, I was also one of those that went down to the League of Cities and Towns. Water was top of mind for me as well. I sat in on a session that was presented by the Utah State University Janet Quinney Lawson Institute for Land, Air, and Water, I think is their title. I may have mixed up the elements, but that's the team. And they presented a plan, an effort that they're doing to help bring together city elected officials, city staff, and other organizations to help fine-tune the city planning and zoning and land use in alignment with the water realities. And so hopefully we'll be able to participate in a session like that that's fully sponsored by the Institute to help us to be able to kind of make sure that we're building and growing in a way that takes into account the reality that we live in a desert. So that was great. Also, it was great to go tour that skate park in Washington City. The public knows that we are actively pursuing next steps, whether we have a skate park and what it looks like, and et cetera, et cetera. And so we were looking at a skate park down there, and it was interesting. We're definitely not going to build one on that scale, but it was interesting to see what's in the realm of possible. On a positive note on the waterfront, the Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District did put out a message that they communicated to those of us that are on their board and then publicly that over the last 10 days, water use has actually gone down. So the messaging is working across the district. In fact, they are seeing even below the 5-year average on several days of water use. And so that's not an invitation to stop conserving, but it's a recognition that we're doing what we need to be doing, which is important because this is a really bad year for water. It's a record-breaking bad year for water. And then I also attended last week the Community Leaders of America conference, their spring conference in Fort Worth, Texas this year. It's community leaders, city leaders from around the country come together, and we talk about issues like, and learn about ways that communities are solving issues around short-term rentals, talked about technology and public safety, and so I had some takeaways that I was going to email out to you guys, some really insightful topics, and it was helpful to learn. One thought, well, I'll send it in an email to you guys. On Saturday, I joined Officer Wolfgram in a ride-along. I did this when I first got on the council, and it was incredibly insightful to see kind of what the public safety situation looks like on the ground. And it was really interesting to see the changes in the last few years. And I mean, it was from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on a Saturday, so not much happening in the city. Even crime sleeps for a little bit. But it was helpful to just talk to our officer and understand his perspective and that frontline view of what public safety looks like in our city. And so, Chief, I know I thanked you and I thanked him personally, but I also wanted to once again thank you and your officers for all you do for our community. And then finally, sorry to be long-winded, but today, Riverton High School baseball, the Silver Wolves, played at the ballpark in America First Square, the B Stadium. They played in the high school series against Bingham High School. I happened to be there and cheer them on and chat with the team before they took the field. And unfortunately, they lost to Bingham, but it was still cool to see our high schoolers playing on a professional ball field.
Thank you very much for that thorough report. And I'm really very pleased to hear that water usage has dropped. That means the message to me is we do have some control over our future. So that's great. Thank you. Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. I also was able to attend the Utah League of Cities and Towns in St. George. It was great to hear more about water. I feel like we've had a fire hose of information about water, and we're learning more, and I think the public and people are learning more, and everyone's willing to do what they need to do, and I'm appreciative of that. Learning more about housing and other issues that affect all the cities across the state. So that was really helpful to go down to St. George. Also, we attended the chamber, South Valley Chamber meeting today, and it was neat to see all the small businesses that were highlighted. So that was a great experience. And lastly, I just want to commend the city staff and the mayor for the budget they've put together. It's really easy to read. If you want to get a copy, it's easy to digest and it's clear. And so I just want to tell my appreciation to the mayor and the staff for letting that budget be thorough, and we've been able to go through so much so we know what we're actually voting on and how it looks going forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Anything else?
That's it.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, let's move on, please. He's completely out of order, but I'll allow it.
Just one last comment on, we've all mentioned the water stuff going on. One thing I forgot to point out that we did learn while we were down there at the Utah League of Cities and Towns is that our peak water runoff normally hits in the end of May, and it actually hit us here in the beginning of April. And so, it was almost a 2-month difference of when peak runoff has been coming down, the mountains and so forth. So when you talk about it's a good year to conserve and see what you can do, great to hear that is happening, because it's a big change this year of what we're normally used to.
Thank you. Excellent comment. Thank you very much.
Good to be out of order for that one.
Okay, Councilmember Haymond, carry on. It's now time for Riverton Choice Awards. Riverton Elementary.
Okay, we want to call up the following people, and if there's any administration from Riverton Elementary, we want to invite you up as well. But I am looking for Ashley, and I'm going to say Yuri. Is that correct? Sweet. Ashley, if you'd come up. We're also looking for Austin Clark. I know he's here. He's in my neighborhood. And then we're looking for Haley Bray. If she's, So Haley, if you want to come right over here with Austin. Okay, so this is our Riverton Elementary excellent. Sorry, I just forgot what are these called again? They are the Riverton Choice for Excellence in Education Award, and so I want to make sure I get that right. So and
I'm
your
Shauna. I'm our principal, and this
wonderful.
is April, our assistant principal.
Well, thank you both for coming and supporting.
Yeah.
This is wonderful.
Thanks for
So,
honoring our kids.
yes.
Teachers.
Yes. These are great people. Yes, this is another kid here that fell in love with school and couldn't stop. So, okay, I'm going to start out here with Ashley here. This is Mrs. Uri, right? Our teacher. Says nearly every morning, Mrs. Uri spends 15 minutes at our front crosswalk, enthusiastically welcoming our community to school. And she knows almost every person by name. She's just the kind of teacher you would want your own children to have. She's down to earth, fun, and creative. She also has high expectations and cares deeply for each one of her students. She's an excellent teacher who provides hands-on, engaging ways to learn. In a recent visit to her classroom, her principal watched as she filled the whiteboard with students' mathematical thinking and then went to clear the board only to hear the students exclaim in protest, "Don't erase our best math." Mrs. Uri sees each child as an individual and meets them where they're at before challenging them in supportive, incremental ways. If you'd visit her classroom, you'd see each student's goal they're working on with her, along with a celebration of their latest progress. Mrs. Uri teaches her students how to work together and productively communicate to solve problems. Her classroom is also a place of inclusion where students of all abilities from around the school are welcome, known, and loved. If her students can see the ways she regularly helps other staff members and the ways she seeks her own learning, they would know that she does the things she asks them to do. And that's just one reason we love having her at Riverton Elementary. So thank you very much, Mrs. Uri. Okay, next up, I'll give you guys your awards here in a minute. Next, we're going to do Mr. Austin Clark. Austin's resource teacher, Mrs. Day, nominated him for this award, and his nomination was enthusiastically supported by his classroom teacher, Mrs. Christopoulos. Did I say that one right? Okay, good. Mrs. Day has had the privilege of having Austin in her class for the last 5 years. He has consistently been an outstanding example of what it means to be a dedicated and kind student. He's always on time, works hard, stays motivated, and completes his work with care and responsibility. He genuinely does his best, is very honest, and accepts advice from others. Beyond that, he is friendly, helpful, and truly one of the sweetest students she's had the pleasure of teaching. Austin will be greatly missed next year as he moves on to middle school, and we know he will continue to do amazing things. Congratulations, Austin. Okay, this is Mrs. Haley Bray. Haley is an exceptional student who consistently excels across all academic areas. She reads with insight, writes with clarity, and approaches mathematics with confidence and skill. Her strong work ethic and dedication to learning set her apart as a true academic leader in the classroom. What makes Haley especially deserving of this recognition, however, is her remarkable character. She is deeply aware of those around her and makes a sincere effort to ensure that no one feels left out. Haley notices classmates who do not have a partner and quietly steps in to include them, offering friendship and support without hesitation. Her patience and kindness towards others, especially those who may be more challenging to work with, are truly admirable. She treats everyone with respect and compassion, creating a more positive and inclusive environment for all. Her classroom teacher, Mrs. Noakes, continually finds herself inspired by her thoughtfulness and genuine care for others. Haley is not only an outstanding student, but also a role model whose actions reflect integrity, empathy, and leadership. Congratulations, Haley. Okay, I want to share this with everyone. So as part of the award, they receive an award here, a certificate, or whatever you call this. What do you call it? Yeah, you're good. Okay, a certificate. I'm thinking gift card. That's not what it is. But they also come come with a bag of goodies, because everything is sweeter with a little treat. So, okay, Mrs. Yuri, this is yours.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Clark.
And we will have the council members come down and take a picture, and parents, if you're here and you'd like to step up and take a picture, that'd be great. Thank you.
And with the staff.
Everyone inside Councilmember Johnson. He's the end. That looks fantastic. Look at me first and then you can look at him. Okay, here we go. Ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Excellent. Got it. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so next up are Rosemont Elementary Roadrunners, and the first person is, and I'm not going to is it Heike Clank? Heike Clank, yeah, if she could come up. The teacher, Wyatt Christensen. And I know it's Penelope. Penelope Penny Henline, is that right? That's my mom's name, and she went by Penny as well. And then is it Heike? Okay. Thank you. Okay, Heike Clank is this teacher. Is the principal here? No? Okay. And we'll have, pictures, we'll have other teachers and staff, because I see you, Mrs. Vietti and Ms. Warnock. So, Heike is not new to special education, but she is new to Rosemont Elementary this year. She has worked so hard to meet the needs of students, including those who struggle with some big challenges in both learning and behavior. She has worked to make specific plans for individual students in an effort to support and encourage them. She demonstrates love, patience, and kindness with each of her students. She is professional in her interactions with colleagues and parents, and runs IEP meetings beautifully. She tracks data efficiently and shares things in a clear and concise way with parents. She is a peacemaker, a team player, and has been a wonderful addition to our incredible special education team. We are so lucky to have her at Rosemont. And next we have Wyatt Christensen, a student, and Wyatt is an outstanding student. He comes to school each day ready to learn and always does his best on each assignment. What grade are you in? Third. Who's your teacher? We had her twice, so you're lucky. In class discussions, he always participates with well thought out answers and comments. He works hard to understand and complete each assignment on time. They are all very well done. As an example, this year we have learned how to write in cursive. I thought they got rid of it. That's good. He has worked hard to become fluent in reading and writing in cursive. He now does all of his work in cursive writing. I can't say that about many of my students. Not only is Wyatt an extremely good student, but he is also a great friend to everyone. He is willing to help any other student understand difficult work. Wyatt will be paired up with any classmate without a complaint and will work hard to help that student be as successful as possible. Wyatt is kind to everyone around him. He's very responsible and helpful. His teacher never has a concern when she asks him to complete a task. We know that Wyatt will get it done and done correctly. He is always well behaved and can be trusted with any responsibility. It's a lot to hear all these compliments, huh? Wyatt seems determined to be the best student and person he can be. He emulates our school rules of being respectful, responsible, safe, and kind. For these reasons and many others, we are pleased to honor him with the Riverton Choice Award. And next is Penelope Penny, and is it Henline? Henlin? What grade are you in, Penny? Second. Is Miss Warnock your teacher? I knew it. You guys got the best. Okay. Penny Henlin, right, has made huge improvements this year in emotional regulation. She has earned she can choose to be happy even when things are hard. She gives compliments to others at their good times and also recognizes when they're having hard times. She smiles a lot and laughs at her own jokes along with the rest of us. She has learned it feels better to choose happiness rather than sadness or disappointment. Penny is a bright spot in our school. She follows the 3 big rules: respect, responsibility, and safety, as well as always choosing to be kind. She is a good friend, and she has the best smile. We are so pleased to honor her with the Riverton City Choice Award. Yay.
Once again, we'll have council members come down and join in some pictures. And I wanted to let you all know they'll all each also get his commemorative coin that we've had especially cast for the semi-quincentennial year. So it's a special coin that will only be given out this year. We want to congratulate them, and we also want to acknowledge their principal, Principal Checketts, who wanted to be here and is always so active with us, but she couldn't be here tonight. Thank you.
Can we have their teachers come up as well? Yeah. While they're coming up, I'll say that all 5 of my children went to Rosemont, and my youngest just graduated from college and on to graduate school, so it's such a good school.
Thank you all very much for coming. We appreciate your attendance here tonight. Okay, we'll move into an introduction of the new Historical Preservation Commission and the presentation of historical homes. I would just like to start by reporting to fellow council members that we now have a thriving, active, energized historical commission, and I'm going to be so pleased to be working with all of them. We have a few of them that are here tonight. We have Bill Applegarth, Kim Reynoldsbaugh, Jen Priest, Rick Bills, and Brenda Newman. And Rick would like to say a few words on behalf of the commission. Please.
Hi, I'm Rick Bills. I'm
Rick, come on up to the, come up to the, yeah, and you can use it that direction, whichever way.
My name's Rick Bills. I'm 3rd generation Riverton. My daughter's 4th generation. She works at Rosemont Elementary School. And my grandson is 5th generation. So we have very deep roots here. I was born in 52, and so 73 years, and it's all been here in my beloved Riverton. I got a quick mayor's story. I always tell it. So I was working in my driveway on my lawnmower, and I had it up on jacks, and I have a riding lawnmower. And Tish come down the driveway, and I didn't know who she was. She comes up, and she says, I'm Tish, and I'm running for city council. And I said, okay, so tell me about yourself. She told me a little bit about herself, so I reached out and shook her hand. My hands were just greased from all that working on that motor. Didn't phase her a bit. She reached right down there, she squeezed my hand, tight grip, and I said, that's my lady. So I consider myself the president of the Tish Fan Club. And that's self-appointed, love her, she's amazing. I'm excited she's our mayor. Anyway, I have an opportunity to work on this council, and I love it. I am honored to be part of that. I'm honored to be part of this group, and I'm honored to be part of Riverton. And anyway, that's about all I wanted to say. Thank you.
I think you wanted to add that you're very excited to work with this great group, and
Oh, yeah, that was the part
there you go.
Anyway,
I knew
I'm
that.
really, really excited to work with this great group.
Good. Thank you very much. Thank you, Rick. Okay, I'll come down there for this next part. So Kim has been our steady Eddie, consistent member of the Historical Commission for this past year where we've been regrouping. And he has been working on identifying homes that are over 50 years of age and talking to their owners to see if they would like to be recognized and to see if they would like to receive a historical plaque. I'm going to step back here. Just so I can show you this beautiful plaque. And if any home in Riverton that's 50 years old or older, you can complete a form, and it will be reviewed by the Historical Commission, and then we would love to invite you to the meeting to receive. And I'm going to share you what Kim has written about the homes. Okay, the first home is Boyd and Andrea Palmer. This home was constructed in 1952. It was originally built in 1952 by Paul and Thelma Mortensen. Paul Mortensen served as mayor of Riverton from 1974 to 1978 and was the owner of Mortensen Appliance and Furniture. The home featured a unique elevator installed to accommodate their health needs. Their granddaughter, Andrea Palmer, later purchased the home with her husband, Boyd. The Palmers are valued members of the Riverton community and continue to contribute meaningful to the city today. Are they here? They're here. Are you okay if I just keep reading? I think, great. Thank you very much for coming. Okay, the second home is Noah and Mallory Dixon. This home was originally built in 1956 by Edward and Rachel Perry. It featured a swimming pool where Rachel Perry taught swimming lessons for many years. Mallory and Noah Dixon have thoughtfully preserved the home, adding interior updates to suit their lifestyle while maintaining the original character of the structure. They are valued members of the Riverton community today. Are you here? Thank you so much for coming. You know, I'm doing this all wrong. You should come up. They are fifth generation. Okay, so we should have you up here while we're talking about you. Boyd and Andrea, and Noah and Mallory. And then our third home, David and Carol. You're going to have to come up here because you don't get the plaque if you don't. And then the last family, might as well all come up together, Matthew and Shelley Sieverts. I think they all know each other, but I'd have to confirm that, right? Yeah, right. Okay, in May of 1971, Carol Sievert's grandfather, Christian Mortensen, established properties along what is now 11745 South, originally settled in 1900. Today, this street is commonly known as Sievert's Lane. David and Carol are truly salt-of-the-earth individuals who have contributed greatly to the legacy of Riverton City. And finally, our last family, Matthew and Shelley Sieverts. Their home was constructed in 1900 by Matthew Sievert's great-grandfather, Christian Mortensen. This two-story home has a rich history. After a fire damaged the upper level, it was rebuilt while the foundation and lower structure remained intact, preserving much of the home's original character and legacy. Christian Mortensen, I apologize, originally homesteaded this property along with a large portion of the surrounding land, making it a significant part of Riverton's history. Matthew and Shelley Sievert's son Dallin and his wife Eden now live in the house. Thank you so much, and we're so glad you're still residents here in Riverton. Long, long time residents. Oh, no. No, and I have the picture in my office to show I went to school here, so.
Thanks for getting this. This is awesome. I know, right?
Please do, yeah. Oh, gosh. Councilmember Perucci and then Councilmember Johnson have a comment?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say, you know, I'm excited to see what the Historic Preservation Commission is doing and has become. And it's also, I know it's on the consent agenda, so we're not going to talk about it when we vote on it, but I'm really excited to see new commission members added. In particular, Mayor Applegarth, you wouldn't recognize me from Adam, but when you were mayor, the commission was restarted under your time as mayor, and I was one of the first ones that were appointed back in 2016, and Mayor Baroker was also appointed around that time, and we served together on the commission, and Councilmember Johnson also served on the commission, and so it's cool to see the generations of commission members and what they've done and taken it and where it's come to, and it's gone well beyond what we envisioned, or maybe it's what we envisioned, but we just didn't do it. And so it's cool to see where it is. And so thank you for those that are about to ready to serve on the commission, and for those that are currently serving.
Thank you very much for your comments. Councilmember Johnson.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to echo the words from my friend, Councilmember Perucci. This is actually where I got my start in service to Riverton City. I'm a 7th generation resident. My wife and I just had the 8th generation. She's 6 months old. And so Riverton means so much to me. And to be able, you know, you talk to my grandpa who was born and raised here, his family, they remember the old days of Riverton where there was the LDS, Lazy Dog Saloon, right? The old 126 and the buildings there. So, you know, there was parts where we didn't, as a city, really preserve our history. So seeing the commission be so strong today, you know, my good friend Kim who left, we worked really closely together to change the code to allow houses 50 years instead of 75 years. And that change allowed us to present a lot of awards today. So this is a great part, a rich part of our history, and I'm so thankful for everyone and for Jen to be part of the commission and Mayor Applegarth. It's really an important thing, and it's going to last for generations. My daughter, I hope she serves on the Historic Preservation Commission, and I hope generations further, so thank you.
Make sure you save a few of your mementos for her to put in the case.
That's right.
Thank you both very much. Okay, this meeting is going to get more and more exciting as we move along. We are now going to move to a presentation by South Valley Chamber, Jay Francis. And Jay, if you'd please come up. And before Jay starts, I have to tell you just a brief story about Jay and how he has saved Riverton single-handedly. He was sharing with me that there was a fire in a place that he was at as a participant. What am I trying to say? A commercial establishment. And he noticed that there was a little bit of smoke coming from this piece of equipment. He called the owner. The owner told him where the breaker was. He went and turned off the breaker. And then he went above and beyond and got the fire extinguisher and really put the fire out. And so in honor of his bravery and his support of Riverton, Chief Marshal here would like to award him with a special medal.
So sorry to interrupt. I just want to say thank you for fighting aggressively and providing for safety always. Safety never takes a vacation. Thank you for leaning forward and taking care of it.
Well, I enjoy going there, so I'm happy to put that little fire out. Mayor, council members, thank you for allowing us a few minutes. I will talk as fast as I can because I know you've got a long night. This is our 2025 report. We'll try to get in earlier next year, but you've had a busy agenda. This was the earliest we could get on, but maybe it works. There we go. It does work. There we go. This is our staff, and all but 3 are here tonight. I'm going to have them stand and introduce themselves as loud as they can. We'll start with Jamie.
Jamie Jensen, Vice President and Managing Director.
Dana Reed, Member Services Director.
Diana Lund, Business Development.
Miriam Dixon, Marketing Director.
Corey Covington, Vice President, Business Development. That way I don't have to know if I remembered their names at this late hour of a day. But we also have Barbie Converse, who's with us, Missy Burton and Zorm Dean, and they're not able to be with us tonight. But I couldn't do what we do without this great team. We also have a great executive committee, and they're part of our board. And I say, not tongue-in-cheek, but seriously, this is why I sleep well at night. We have a great board. They make up our executive committee, and they help us move things along and give us the encouragement to go forward. This is what we say we do. We connect, we educate, advocate, and grow. And then we've added the and more, which we'll touch on at the very end. We did 15 ribbon cuttings in Riverton last year, which says a lot about the South Valley. It's just growing, and a lot is happening. We did a record number of ribbon cuttings in the chamber last year, and we're off to a start that's going to quadruple it if we don't slow down. Under the banner of Connect, we have our committees. We have 25 members serving on our ambassador committee. We have 25 members serving on our government affairs and public policy committee. This is in 2025. 38 members serving on our small business committee, 35 on tourism, and 24 in our women in business and junior WIB. We had 24 participants in 2025. And all of those committees really help us move things along. It gives them a chance to be involved and to connect with each other and be able to take some programs and some initiatives and move along. The Women in Business Committee is knocking home runs. We're really pleased with our junior WIB, our senior girls from the high schools in both Canyons and Jordan School District that rub shoulders with these professional women. They have mentors, they have service projects, and then just a couple weeks ago, we graduated them and gave them their certificates and $1,000 to a college or university of their choice. And it's so fun. I'm kind of mixing 25 with 26, but it's also fun to hear from their parents because they come up and tell you what a great program it was, that it was worth far more than the $1,000 that they got as a scholarship. Under Educate, our programs that we have for businesses, we have Leadership South Valley, and we had 27 graduates from that. It's a program that I wish I could have participated in my mid-career, be able to learn from those who are making things happen in the community, both in the business community as well as in the service community and the government. Each month we have a different topic, and Jamie heads that up for us, and it's off the charts. Our Business Accelerator, we had 14 graduates last year. This is specifically for small business. We call it our mini MBA, that they can go and get some programming and some understanding of how to take their business to the next level. Everyday Entrepreneur is something we partner with Salt Lake Community College for those who are thinking about starting a business, and they run it through the steps. And this is going to sound like maybe I'm a sadist, but partway through, we have some that drop out, or they say, this isn't for me, which we feel is a success because they have figured out, instead of spending thousands of dollars on their idea or their business plan, they're not quite ready yet, and they only spent $400 to find that out. And so we feel like that's a success. Our business boot camps is designed for small businesses. We have professionals come in and they'll give some instruction, and then they go down with them and are hands-on, whether it's building a sales plan, their own personal social media, so that they can go back and they can be professionals. It gives them some of the tools that I took for granted in 35 years of working for big business, because we had our own IT, we had our own CPA, we had our own marketing department. But small business needs all those, but they can't hire all those. And so we try to give them some of those tools. Under Educate, continuing our Business Accelerator, we've had 17 Riverton business as graduates from our Business Accelerator, which has really only been like the last 5 years. So it's been a great program. And if you look at the list of those, they're still doing very, very well. Under Advocate, we held roundtables, executive forums. We held some Meet the Candidates. We held one here as pre-election. In 2025, we tracked 20-plus bills, and most of them around business, especially around small business. We held 2 in the nose, one around the Big Beautiful Bill, and then another one with the Wasatch Front Regional Council came and reported to the Chamber at large about their transportation plan for the South Valley. We held a legislative review with Senator Fillmore and Representative Elison. Under GROW, these are the events that we held. Connect After Hours, which has grown to be a very popular and meaningful event for our members. There's no instruction. They have said, Jay, you can come, but we don't want you to teach. And it's just a time to come and connect at different venues. We had over 606 attendees. Our Let's Do Lunch, we held 5 events. We alternate that with our Meet the Member every other month. And so combined, we held 10 events for our Meet the Members and Let's Do Lunch. And you can see we had over 700 for our Let's Do Lunch. And the Meet the Member is a smaller, more intimate, and we have 14 or 15 of our members kind of stand up and give a pitch. And they get to have a 2-minute pitch about their business, and they get to leave samples or flyers or product behind, and they love it. And they don't stay. I mean, they don't stay. They don't leave. We hold that in the same room we held our meeting today. We can go back to the office and work, and they stay and continue to network. And as I mentioned earlier, our Women in Business, we held 10 events, and you can see we had over 1,200 attendees at our Women in Business. And they're planning and coordinating panels and speakers that are just off the charts. And then our And More. We held 3 golf tournaments last year. I don't know any organization or business that is silly enough to hold 3 golf tournaments, but we don't have any choice to be able to get all of our commitments in. We held one at Old Mill, at River Oaks, and at Glenmore. with over 400 participants. Our Titan Awards last year, where we honored 4 people, we had over 650 attendees, and that's where we also honor our Small Business of the Year award to help prop up small business and show that we were putting them on the same stage as the Titans. And then our Shark Tank last year, we had 10 students who pitched their businesses, and they were awarded $9,500 in prize money. That goes back to their little business that they can tweak and continue to go. It's one of those events where, regardless of what you listen to on the news, on the radio, or you go home and watch, you go away from that event saying, okay, we're going to be okay. We got some good kids coming behind us that have got some good minds. We like to feel like we're bridging the gap, and that we have great support from corporate that gives us some funding and some resources to be able to do what we do. 61% of our members are small business, which is really where we excel. And with our accelerator, our boot camp, our committees, you can see there that 100% of our small business committee is made up of small businesses. 80% of our ambassador committee comes from small businesses, and 50% of our women in business committee, again, comes from small businesses. We believe that our representation, wherever we go, we take you with us, if you will. I am chairman of the Association of Utah Chambers for the next year and a half. Don't tell my wife. We have a business voice. The Wasatch Front Regional Council reached out to us as they were doing their fresh look. And for 3 years, we were the only business eyes that sat around the table as they were talking about transportation plans for the South Valley. I'm a representative on the World Trade Center board, United Way Salt Lake, and they're doing amazing things with education and giving back, different than the old United Way, but so it gives us a voice in education in both of our school districts. And then I meet with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and a regional council quarterly. And then the new Utah Chamber, I have been asked to be part of the Utah Chamber Coalition, which is a 6-member team plus what used to be, what Derek Miller, who's the president of both Salt Lake Chamber and the Utah Chamber. So we feel like our representation, we take you with us, we take the South Valley with us, and gives us a voice. In 2026, we're going to be focused, we're going to be strategic and purpose-driven. One of the things, and we've already started working on service and giving back. We believe that is something that businesses need to understand, that there's a role there. There's also an important part of their business plan, and we're going to focus on business growth and economic development. Member retention is a big, important part of our business plan. We have grown, and now we need to retain. We need to keep them, and we need to keep that value there for them. As I mentioned earlier, our public policy is something that we have really become better at. And because of our footprint and because of who we represent, it's important that we have a voice, especially during the legislative session. And we have a great committee, and it's co-chaired by Stephen Foxley and by Kelsey Berg. Both have great government affairs minds, and they understand it. It's something that I have had to be tutored on. I did well in business. I didn't do well with government, and they have brought me along. And so that in 2026, we're going to continue to be stronger there. And our committee has grown, as you saw earlier, over 30 members. Then we experienced today the new Small Business Impact Award, and we have chatted a little bit after that and feedback that we got. We had planned on this kind of being part of our State of the Chamber going forward. I think it just became its own event, and it'll be its event. And I think we'll look to the first week of May, Small Business Week. I think it's kind of found its home, and I'm really excited about that. And thank you for those of you who are able to be there today, as we kick that off in 2026. We look at our relationship with you as a partnership. We feel like we're an extension of your economic development and help the messaging that we put out, bullet point number 2, in our communications, it just helps with what you're communicating as we work with your communications department. We share priorities as far as businesses and the importance of growing and the importance of doing things right. And the very last partnership, we really look at our relationship with you, Riverton City, as a partnership, not a membership. We have members, but this is really a partnership, and we hold hands together, and that's why we meet often, to make sure that we're doing our part with you as a city. And as we used to say, South Valley Chamber better now, we now say we're better together. And Mayor and Council, that's my 2025 report. I'm not sure I'm happy, but I would be happy to take any questions.
Let me open up the mics to see if there are any questions or comments. Anyone?
I'm very happy with that report. I appreciate the report and for everything you guys do and the relationships we have from what you guys do. I know I missed the luncheon today. I apologize. I was called in another direction, but it's great to have these relationships with business and with everybody.
Councilmember Perucci?
Yeah, thanks. I just thank you, Jay, and to your incredible team. It's a pleasure to serve on your board. I appreciate all that you guys do. Really, talking to the business leaders in our community that engage with you, they appreciate it as well. I hear a lot of positive feedback about the value that the chamber brings. And then I know that I can call you guys and ask to get the business community's help and perspective on issues. I really appreciate your engagement on the Transit Fresh Look. You brought a really important voice to that process that was lacking in previous iterations. So thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Johnson, did I?
Yep, just ditto to what my councilman said, but also just you have an incredible staff. I've gotten to know almost all of them very personally. I think the world of them. You've created an amazing group of people that really care about our communities. We've seen it for years in my past life, my previous work position, but also here as a councilman. I just can't thank you guys enough for caring for our community and the rest of the South Valley.
And Councilmember Smith.
I also want to echo what all of my coworkers, colleagues had to say, but I'm grateful personally for my relationship. You guys have all been warm and friendly to me and welcoming, and as a newly elected official, not really knowing what I'm doing, I feel like you guys have brought me along and helped me out, and it's helped me in my job. Your job has helped my job become easier, so thank you for your help and your support.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for the honorary firefighter award.
Okay, we will move on to Marshall Watkins, and while Marshall Watkins is coming up, I just would like to compliment him and thank him. He had a resident reach out to him with questions, and he has made it a point to start including some of those responses to those questions in presentations as we go forward. So I really appreciate that proactive approach.
Thank you very much. Mayor and Council, thank you for the time tonight. I'm going to go through Q1 data with you, and then I threw in some other information in this presentation. Next slide, please. So total incidents for first quarter, again, January through March, and every liaison report I do will cover one quarter. We were at 521 total incidents. 63 out of that 521 were those emergent calls. Again, those fall into the category of severe calls, so whether it's stroke, heart attack, something like that. So that's 12%. Next slide, please. And we have it broken down into monthly incident counts through that first quarter. We're fairly consistent, and then we have it through the year breakdown. So if you have any questions, generally speaking, within Riverton, we're very consistent about where we are. So you could see through 24, 25, we had an uptick, and then we kind of planned out for 26, and that's just in that first quarter. Next slide, please. Many times I get calls or questions from the community where we spend our most time and on what type of calls. You could see our EMS calls, and I'll focus on this. It's just generalized as a fall. Many times in EMS, we respond on ground level falls. Sometimes age is a component of these type of calls. Another time it could be a cardiac event which creates that fall, which creates a fainting episode. So that's something that our EMS practitioners are very good at on responding on those type of calls. Many of them can be very serious. So Again, a lot of sick person calls, breathing problems are very normal. We have a lot of travel corridors within the city, so we have a lot of those type of calls too. But does anybody have any questions on the top fire calls or top EMS calls or top other type of calls before we move on? Okay.
Councilmember
maybe a
Hammond.
question.
So just one thing, remind me again, I think I'm beating a dead horse. Do we send out all the heavy-duty equipment when we have these, like a fall, help I've fallen and I can't get up?
So case dependent, right? If it is a fall, and this is a great scenario when we talk about falls, could it be a heart attack? Yes. Could it be something that contributed to that fall? As soon as we get a first arriving responder on that, we can cancel those additional resources coming. But we always respond in an assertive nature with resources. A great example was the other night when we were having an event at Station 121. The crews responded on what was going to be an extrication with entrapped occupants. They had the ladder going on that, and they had an ambulance going on in that. As soon as they found out that the person wasn't entrapped, they started cutting resources. So again, emergency response most of the time is a very assertive, robust response. And then as soon as we get information that we can slow that or lessen that response, that's how it goes. But very good question.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Next slide. This is a slide I put in there just to show the data from 2023, 24, and 25. When I started putting this data together, I started considering how far back I can go. And I think I could go about a decade back now. I think I have some very good consistent data to show. We did see an increase between 23 to 25. We saw 7.6%, and then that 3.4 to 2025. As your liaison, this is something that I'm going to continually look at and then communicate. Great conversation earlier before the work meeting is what increases these calls. Again, we're seeing density increase. We're seeing many of your support facilities within your community, rehab centers and places like that, and that definitely increases that. So contributing factors. But we're keeping an eye on it, and my job is to make sure that you guys have all the information and that we just pay attention as we move forward. Next slide. Interesting, this is always interesting, and I want to just over-communicate on this, exactly how those responses look. Many times your heavy equipment from Station 121 will respond into into Harriman. So this is a good breakdown of that. So it shows 121, which is going to be Medic Ladder 121, responding into Riverton City within the boundaries, 232 responses, which is 46.4%. Medic Engine 124, which is right off of 1300 West, you can see that they've responded 198 times, which is the balance of that 39.6%. You'll see the engine in Harriman that's right up there off of Mountain View comes down into Riverton 10% of the time for those 50 incidents. 103 in Harriman comes down at 2.6% at 13 incidents. And then the Olympus and Holiday, they were on move up for training or covering backfill or something like that. That is why they responded in your community. So with the total unit response of 500, next slide. This helps you understand what EMS looks like. It shows on this graph 120, which is Medic Ambulance 120, coming out of Station 120. Within the boundaries of Riverton, that has the highest call volume. If you looked at each unit separately, considering running outside of the Riverton, you would see Medic Ambulance 121 with a higher call volume. But I think it's important to understand to look at that Medic Ambulance 120 and see how that's centrally located to Riverton City and responding a lot within that. Again, a reminder that ambulance are a regional service, and how that works is they're very flexible and they can run different calls within different communities. Mainly these two are going to be between Riverton and Harriman. And then you see that East Mill Creek, and again, they were up here on a move up and covering. So any questions at all? Okay, moving on. Emergent time total, this is something that we watch closely. That 8-minute mark is where we want to be less than 8 minutes. We're at 7:48, and I need to be very specific on this. Dispatch to arrival time, it's everything that the firefighters can control. The other night when we were there, you saw how quick they dropped their stuff and ran out and got in the rigs and left. That's what they can control, is their turnout time from where they're sitting in the station or where they are in the station to out the door and travel. We can travel a little bit faster in some instances, but we have to ensure for safety the whole time we're traveling. So again, the thing where we can make the most difference is from the time we're notified to the time we're on the road. Next slide, please. Little transition here. Just want to remind everybody that fireworks are coming. Fireworks restrictions are fairly standard within the city. I didn't get any new updates submitted. The map will be published on the UFA website, and you can link there very easily through the Riverton website. I went through that link, and it worked out very well. I feel very good about the restrictions within Riverton. The legislative body, if there are weather considerations, fire weather behavior, anything of great concern, those will be communicated and other decisions can be made. I just want to make sure that I'm very clear there. Riverton has been very successful in the restrictions. Again, I just did a little screenshot. 1300 West is where that line of demarcation is, down towards the river bottoms. And then you'll notice the canal corridors is where those restrictions lay. And that is where you have contiguous, consistent fuels. I think we're in a good place. It is, every year it's a challenge. I understand. I've lived Riverton fireworks season. Riverton citizens love fireworks, and it's a beautiful time of the year to experience that. So that's where we are. Again, that map will be updated and published June 1st, and then we'll be ready for the season. So,
Marshall, Councilmember Perucci has a question for you.
Sure.
Thanks so much, Chief Marshall. I appreciate all you're doing. On the response time, can you remind us where that time is in comparison to previous quarters or previous years, and is it?
We're very close. I did look back to a previous quarter, and I believe I took some data off of another report, and I looked at the time, and we're a little bit longer. And again, that time is a little bit, we do good, we do not as good, we do good. As long as we're under that 8-minute mark, that's where I feel comfortable. We are in an area where our travel is a little bit different. If you live in a very tight urban area with more fire stations, you're going to have a quicker travel time, right?
That's the one thing that just concerns me is, I mean, we're growing a lot, and we have pretty significant growth on major roads, with Bangor and Mountain View Corridor, and with more population growing in those busy areas. That's a trend I'm going to watch as a council member, and I'd love to just understand what that trend should look like, and if there are things that we can do in our planning and zoning to try to minimize that increase.
Understand the concern. Again, you get plenty of communication. Kind of on the flip side of that conversation, new travel corridors that have been put in that I've experienced, I'll reference Old Liberty Way, opening that up and being able to get resources from one side of the city to the other side of the city, I noticed a big difference just opening that up. So there's a lot of challenges with the growth, and then there's a lot of benefits with that growth too that I've been able to experience. So we'll make sure we over communicate and work through this together.
Make you.
Next slide.
And Marshall Watkins
Sure.
doesn't want to say this, but really he just takes the big rig out and drives all around the city in his free time to make sure with the, right, exactly.
Yeah. I've been known to enjoy it.
Councilmember Heyman also has a question.
That going on. So I may have a bit of a personal interest in this. Is there any way to draw this eastern fire boundary down 11th West?
As part of the legislative body, whatever consensus and direction I get from everybody up here, that's how the map will look. So,
That's
and
an
again, those
excellent
adjustments can be made if you would like to change those.
All right, you guys.
We'll talk.
We're going to discuss this. Yeah, actually not in my house. It's the neighbors. They put on good fireworks.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next slide. Okay, one question that I got many questions from one of our wonderful citizens in the audience. One thing that I was going to focus on is how many inspections did we complete recently and what kinds of issues keep coming up? Why does staying on top of those make such a big difference long term? I've been in fire prevention now for about 1.5 years, and one thing that I've been very thankful for are good crews in the field. So your fire crews actually do a type of operation. We call it an operations inspection. So it's a basic fire inspection within your businesses, within your community. I went through our cloud-based inspection software through each station, and I was able to count 493 inspections that they're working through. This is on a 2-year cycle that rotates. So as soon as they get through all those 493, they need to start that back up. And I know how important businesses are to Riverton City. Their tone and how they conduct those inspections is very conducive to building a great relationship. Meaning they'll show up, they'll ask to do the inspection. If it's a good time, they can proceed. If it's not a good time, they'll reschedule. And things that you look for, access egress, so you'll start noticing all the signs. You'll notice the fire extinguishers. Are they current and within the renewal cycle on the fire extinguishers? Is storage appropriately? The sprinkler system, now that I pointed out, you'll start noticing sprinkler systems, fire suppression systems. Those are other things that we're able to look at. It's a pretty amazing cloud-based software, and again, this falls into my wheelhouse in fire prevention. 90% of the municipalities throughout the state of Utah are using the same software that was not started with Unified Fire Authority. Now it's called Live software. It's pretty amazing. There's no cost to the organization. Many of the different inspections that happen within that, the third parties pay for that, but it's a great tool in tracking the resources, and it's a great tool to engage those firefighters within the community. Mutually beneficial opportunity. Yes, they get their fire clearance for another 2 years and they get that inspection update, but we get the situational awareness on what the structure looks like. How can we get in that structure? Where the Knox box key, that's the key access that we have access to on businesses, so we don't need to break doors. We can access doors. We get the responsible person information, meaning we get the business owner or manager information. So if at 2 a.m. we have an alarm showing up, we can have the fire engine show up and we can get the code, we can access the structure without creating damage. There are those certain times when we need to create damage, but there's nothing worse than creating damage when we don't need to access the structure. Well, there are many things worse, but that's one example of how we're efficient and effective in that. So with that said, do I have any other questions? And I think that's the last slide. Or have I missed anything?
Councilmember Haymond.
I actually have a serious question this time. I didn't see anything on here from Bluffdale. Are we not interacting with Bluffdale anymore?
We are. So again, that's mutual aid, and I can do at mayor's discretion or any of your discretion, I could give you the numbers on the mutual aid given to Bluffdale and the mutual aid received. From everything that I understand talking to our operations chief, we're in a very good space there, meaning we're balanced in that, and you never want to see a big disparity on either side. It happens often. They come on fires with us, we go on fires with them, and sometimes we go on medicals in Bluffdale and they come on medicals here. But I'm more than happy to share those numbers if you want to see that next time and go through all those numbers.
Well, just hearing it's balanced is good. I understand historically it's been a little lopsided with us going that direction a lot more. Maybe I'm mistaken that.
I think there was a time where we had concerns. I think we've been in a very good place as far as mutual aid response related to Bluffdale and many of the communities. Little side note, I just sat through a bunch of interviews today and I had different fire agencies helping us interview our new folks. I don't know in my career that I've ever seen relationships so good within the Salt Lake Valley between agencies. And we've been decent. I've just been impressed as of the last few years. Another thing I'll bring to everybody's attention, all the Valley Fire Chiefs just did a presentation or a video for the public to view related to wildfire safety. And it was a consensus, it was a message in consensus from all those fire chiefs. So if you have if you have time, look at our social media and you can see a great message.
Okay, I appreciate that, to know that we're doing good. Those relationships between all the agencies is great. Love to see the way they interact and backfill and assist, and it's pretty amazing how the whole process works.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yeah, quickly, just wanted to make a comment. Also in this first quarter was your fire school, where Councilmember Smith and I were able to cosplay as firefighters for the day. It was an amazing experience, and I believe there was about 20 volunteers from UFA that were taking time off their days, after working full shifts. A lot of them came in after responding to an event to help teach us a little bit about what they did. It was incredible. I think every council member should be a part of that, to see what you guys have to go through and what you do for our community. So just thank you for your team and for your leadership. It's well noted.
Absolutely. Thank you for your attendance also. I appreciate it.
Councilmember Smith.
It was definitely eye-opening, and while we were there that day, there was a bomb scare in Riverton. And so we were able to see firsthand, how would they respond, and things I would never have thought before, but just asking them, like, how you blow up a package, you use water and things like that I never would have known. But so having that hands-on experience, I wasn't good at breaking windows as other people were, but I got better.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank you
Okay,
very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we will move to the consent items. We have a list of them, A through H. Is there any consent item that a council member would like to have removed?
Yeah, I'd like to remove number,
H.
15H.
Okay, Councilmember Perucci has asked that we remove Resolution 15H. We will move back to the rest of the resolutions, A through G. Are there any others that someone would like removed? Are we prepared to vote?
Just for formality, maybe you can remove 15C, so we can just say their names for the Historic Preservation Commission, 15C.
We will try. Okay.
Because they've been mentioned before, but just wanted to give them a shout out.
Okay. So we will remove items 15C and items 15H. We'll go back to the consent agenda. Looking for a motion.
I move that we approve the consent agenda items minus those that have been excluded.
C and H.
Yes.
I second that.
Okay, there's second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Great. We'll move to the two items in question. First of all, appointing members to the Historic Preservation Commission. Excuse me, I may have to have Jamie help me here, because we really did put several on there, but we have Jen Priest, who is here, Bill Applegarth, Brenda Newman, Rick Bills, Sherry Withers, who's remained. That's right, Cherie, yes. And we have another person who is part of the Daughter of the Utah Pioneers. They haven't determined whether they want to be members or not, but nevertheless, she is stepping up to help us with our tours of the school, which will be really helpful. And then I'm still missing someone. Am I not?
No.
Okay, all right, very good. So we've covered that one, and now item 15H, and I believe, Carrie, that's for you.
Yeah, so that's just a real quick discussion of why we're renaming these parks. It's more of a confusion issue. We have 4 parks named Western Springs. Yeah. Western Springs Mini, Western Springs Central, Western Springs Tot Lot, Western Springs Main. We are really just trying to rename these so that the confusion stops, both with our staff and when people call in. And they call in Western Springs, we don't know which one to go to, and it takes time out of the day. So we've decided to rename these parks to the street that they coincide on. I've sent you guys a list of what those names are, and once we get those, we'll get new signs up at those parks, and maybe even do a little mini ribbon cutting if we want, so the neighborhood kind of knows what those are called.
My favorite is Geronimo, right? We're going to have a Geronimo Park? That's a great one. Okay, so Jamie, can we do both of those at the same time, or do they need to be separate? Separate? Okay, so we need a motion to approve Resolution 15C. Go and give me a minute. Councilmember Johnson?
Let me get to it. Right here. I make a motion to approve resolution number 2016, appointing members to the Historic Preservation Commission.
Okay, we have a motion. Is
I'll
there a
second
second?
that.
Councilmember Perucci, roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Great. Now we'll move to resolution number 26-23,
I think we're on 15H.
or 15H.
Oh, yeah.
Same one. Yeah.
I move that we approve resolution number 26-23, approving the renaming of 4 Riverton city parks.
Okay, we have motion, second? from
Second.
Councilmember Johnson. All right, roll call.
Yes.
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 Great, thank you all very much. Let's move to the public hearing action items. We have ordinance number 28-08. We had a discussion from Jason Lethbridge in our work meeting regarding this, which is really just a minor cleanup issue, and I think Kevin's going to speak briefly to that issue.
So just a reminder, we did discuss this in greater detail. Thank you, Mayor and members of the council, in our work session. Essentially, what we're doing is we're taking 2 already approved documents and bringing them, merging them together into one. That's a formality that's required. We just failed to do that. This has nothing to do with changing the general plan, nor is it changing the water conservation element. It simply is, again, taking those 2 documents, combining them into one. We are just required to have a public hearing to do this and then get it approved. Any future looks at the general plan, especially because we know we're in the focus of that right now, would be separately discussed at a later date.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we will open the public hearing. Is there anyone from the audience that would like to comment on merging 2 documents? Okay, seeing none, we will close the public hearing, and I will look for a motion. Councilmember Heyman.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance number 26-08, adoption of the water conservation element of general plan, correcting the previously adopted water conservation and efficiency standard to be included as an element of the general plan proposed by Riverton City. Jason Lethbridge, Development Services Director.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
I second.
Councilmember Smith seconds. Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 Excellent. Move on to item 17A, resolution 26-19, tentatively adopting the tentative budgets for the 2026-2027 fiscal year. Mr. Gear?
Yep, so we talked about this in our study session. We've been talking about it along the way. This is, again, you guys have now received the tentative budget. You guys are going to adopt it, and then we still have a public hearing. We have 2 public hearings to go through before we adopt our final budget, so this isn't as it stands if there are still things that need to happen. But it's the beginning of that end phase. So.
Okay, looking for a motion in a second, correct?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Councilmember Smith. Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Thank you all. And then our last resolution for the evening, resolution number 25-15, approving the Riverton City Water Shortage Management Plan. Mr. Nikes.
Yeah, so this is resolution 26-15, and we talked about this 2 weeks ago at council, and it was recommended that we just change the language to be under council's approval of changing the mitigation and drought tolerance. And those have been fixed in the document and reposted.
Questions or comments for council members? None. Looking for a motion.
Sorry, I did have one question.
Councilmember
So
Pritchett.
once this goes into effect, is there a plan to to start implementing this as bringing a recommendation to us as a council, like soon?
So we'd still follow somewhat of what the state and Jordan Valley are doing, right? Because they're suppliers of our water.
Yeah.
But you guys would have more control if we did want to go a little deeper into it than what their standard is asking.
Okay, thank you.
I also have a question. So when I was reviewing it, we basically are adopting the same standards for level 2 as Jordan Valley, but we're also offering the voluntary where they could water twice a week instead of 3 times a week, right?
So the document is just stated that we can clarify it even at a higher standard. If we wanted to go to a level 3, we could, because that's our standard, not Jordan Valley's. Right now, Jordan Valley has it as a level 2, which is what we follow. This just gives us our own little thing. If we wanted to stay at level 1, we could, but we wouldn't. It gives us more control if we want to go into more of a drought tolerance.
And can we stay at level 2, but just ask them to suggest that they volunteer twice a week? Is that?
It's really volunteering a 10% decrease in their water usage.
Okay,
How they do that, I mean, some people like what we call a cycle soak and just soak up one day and then wait 2 days, and some people like to just water less every day.
Okay.
There is points in there that we do talk about other ways to do that, and that we would have them every other day. Like if you lived on the odd side of the street, you'd water on odd days. If you lived on the even side of the street, you'd do even days. Just kind of alternate so that we're not grabbing a big supply at one time.
Okay, so we're adopting that we're going to do level 2, we're waiting till
We're just adopting this plan that states that we can do our own plan separate from the state.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
One question I have, Mayor.
Please.
Councilmember Perucci, you mentioned that you were notified that our water usage has decreased. Is that something?
Not necessarily ours.
Thank you.
The Jordan Valley Water Conservancy district-wide.
Oh, district-wide. I was just wondering if we have any way to kind of keep an eye on how much water.
Yes, we monitor all of our usage monthly. We grab a monthly report from Jordan Valley, what we're getting and all of it, so.
Okay.
And we can provide that in future meetings.
Yeah. Great.
All right. Looking for a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Councilmember Haymond.
Motion that we approve resolution number 26-15.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councilmember Perucci. Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Thank you all very much. You can see below the upcoming meetings. We will remain busy through May and June as we prepare for our big annual holiday. Looking for a motion to close the meeting.
So moved.
Sorry. I'll second.
Okay.
John?
I made a motion that we adjourn, close our meeting, go home.
We can't go home yet. No, we won't. There's much more to follow.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you need roll call or is it all in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, now let's move into our redevelopment agency meeting agenda.
Mayor, hold on just till she
Please.
gets the recording
Yeah,
going.
thank you.